Hello? Is this thing on? Hello, 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 hello. Long time no see. Little bit of time. Yeah, life. Um, Alpha. Wait, no, incorrect. Not alpha. Patch notes. Yeah, it's not quite as exciting, but I'm trying to get into the alpha. Um, so hopefully soon, maybe. Apparently, you have to know a guy who knows a guy, but it's all right because I decided to big brain it and I made a ticket to Blizzard and I said, "Hi, can you let me into your alpha?" And I'm just waiting on a reply. I'm sure they'll be like, "Yeah, come on in, then go on, then you cheeky bastard, get in here." Probably not. Pro- Probably not. But I didn't know how else to get in. Um, my God, there's so many patch notes. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's kind of a good thing, right? I mean, we're quite used to having very little to no patch notes. So it's kind of nice to see some actual, changes. Makes sense going into the new expansion, I guess. I guess. Yo, yo, what's up? Hey, Ronan. Hey, Cookie. Tiger Brew Hype. Tiger Brew Hype. Interestingly enough, I never played with Tiger Brew. I also never played with Weapons of Order. Um, Tiger's Eye Brew. When was that removed? Legion? I'm not sure. Basically, I basically didn't ever get to. I think I might have played it actually in WoD, but I was too like small brain to really understand what I was doing in WoD. If that makes sense, like buttons were just buttons. Um, and then Weapons of Order. I never actually played Monk in Shadowlands, so I've never actually experienced Weapons of Order. Well, that's a lie because Weapons of Order. Well, the original Weapons of Order, but the new version of Weapons of Order is essentially just ordered elements. So, I mean, I guess in quotation marks, I've been playing with Weapons of Order for the past like the past expansion, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like it's pretty much the same thing. The new version that I'm bringing out. I think Legion, but I'm not sure since I played Monk since Mock. It's been a while. It has been a while. So I was trying to work out how I want to do this because it's a lot of shit. The most annoying part of this is this still. The fact that they haven't put the icons in for this kind of cringe, but I guess also they probably don't have access. Some of the classes have got them, like Rogue, Lucky Boys. They've got their they got the class ones, I guess. Basically, all this came out, I guess last night for me, and there was not really much I could do because I had raid last night. So I was just basically like, okay, I'll just tune in the morning, no prep, just thoughts, opinions, see what's going on. Um, but there was a lot of hubbub and excitement, and a lot of not excitement actually. It depends what you play, because there's been so many changes, right? It's not just class changes and stuff. I mean, what are they doing? They're removing add-ons? Question mark. I guess to an extent. What does that mean? Which ones? Fuck. Can I still play the game? Probably not. Um, I wouldn't. I don't know. Like there are some add-ons like that I really don't want them to like remove and stuff, like weak auras and stuff. Just like I'm very fond of my Luxthos weak aura that basically just shows me my abilities and shows me if I have procs or a buff or something like that. But I'm pretty sure they're removing that or they're dumbing it down. Um, but TLDR, they basically want you to use their own cooldown manager. Um, I've looked at that cooldown manager and I hate it. So, but they will improve it, right? Maybe that'd be nice. Like I don't think it's a bad thing inherently to remove things like tracking of like you know how you can like track people's cooldowns and stuff like that. As a DPS player, should I be able to do that? Probably not. As a healer, should I be able to do that? Probably yes. Like, there's a really big argument that let's say you're in a dungeon, right? And two players get a big circle on, or a great example is the third boss in Halls of Atonement, right? It puts the two circles on two players and it does a ton of damage. If your healer can see who has a defensive ready for that, they can dispel one target and not the other, and then both players survive. Now your healer's gonna have to gamble it. You know what I mean? Like your healer's gonna be like, well, 50-50. Good luck if you don't have a defensive. So I think that kind of sucks to a degree. Like, I think there's like some good cases of it. I think like it's maybe got a little bit out of hand, like how much you can track. But I think something should be trackable, right? Like, especially if you're a healer, right? Like, you need to know if someone has a health pot. Do they have diffuse magic? They won't in Midnight because we were getting it removed. But like, if you have diffuse magic, it's good to know because then you know, okay, I don't have to dispel this dude. He's probably going to press it. He doesn't press it and he dies. That's his own problem. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Also, I think they're dumbing down healing as well. I haven't really looked too much into it, but I think they want like the TLDR is I think they don't want healer cooldowns. Which from reading what some of the healers I play with have said about it, I don't think they think that's a great thing. But I haven't read enough into it to really know what they're changing with healing, but sounds kind of weird. Basically, they're overhauling this game. Will it be good? Maybe. I hope so, because I like this game. It's pretty fun, right? Yeah. We in agreement on that? The game's kind of fun? Wouldn't. It depends, right? Do. What I struggle with the most is positioning a lot of the time. Windwalker POV plus peak equals goated. True. My guild has asked me to respect a Windwalker from Brew. Thanks for your videos. The transition has been somewhat smooth. Hey, somewhat smooth? That's good enough. I'll take it. I'll take it. If I can give you a somewhat smooth transition, that's that's good enough in my books. I've been playing a bit of Brew actually recently. It's quite fun. I didn't enjoy it in season 2, but I kind of enjoy what they did to it in season 3. So I've been not like pushing with it or anything, but I'll just do like the odd key here and there as Brew, and I actually don't hate it. I think it's quite enjoyable. Fun not allowed. Well, my question is right. Like I understand why they're removing things like certain trackers and stuff like that. Let's say you're doing Fractilus, right? They don't want you to be doing stupid shit like basically getting the markers all pre-assigned to you. If that makes sense. So like you play Fractilus and all it is a tank and spank and the weak aura plays the game for you. They don't want the weak aura to play the game for you. And that kind of makes sense. But let's say you ended up having a Fractilus, the exact same boss. Fractilus comes out in Midnight and that's not a thing. How many guilds are actually going to be able to do that? Like, it becomes a completely simple fight into an almost impossible fight. Like, do you know how much communication you will need to, like, be able to discuss between everybody, right, you need to go here, here, here. You have to have someone constantly tracking the walls. Like, I guess it makes the game more, like, engaging. It makes the boss more engaging, I suppose, but it will also, like, make the content so much harder. Like, they have to basically make a middle ground, I think, where they dumb down some bosses to a degree, because, like, there are certain things that should be trackable, right? Like, I think, obviously, yeah, WeCore playing the game for you is just this is like a super over-the-top example, and it's stupid. But in principle, if they then release Fractilus next tier, and you had to do that, I'm telling you, like, no one's killing that boss. It'll take so long to kill that boss. So it's like trying to find that middle ground, but I feel like I don't feel like they're gonna dumb down the bosses, right? Like then they're just going backwards. I don't know. Like for instance, let's say you're talking about Forge Master or Raz, right? And you can't track all their health bars or something with a weak aura. I think something like that's fine because then you can have someone calling it out, and that's kind of like a minimal thing. Then you can actually use like communication and stuff for that. But there's like massive extremes where if you if you like you can't work it out, it's doomed. Because even with the weak chorus from Fractilus and stuff, like you can still have like a raid leader calling it out. Obviously, you get icons over your head, so you can do it yourself and stuff to a degree. But I don't know. I feel like they're gonna have to find a middle ground, and like they have to get it perfectly right. Otherwise, there's gonna be such a massive uproar. And I don't think they're gonna get it perfectly right. You know what I mean? It's gonna be so hard to get right. Yeah, should be fun. Can't wait. Hype. How can I find this talent calculator on Wowhead? You can find it. Oh, so this is the Windwalker Monk one I'm looking at the moment. Basically, if you just Google Windwalker Monk talent calculator, it should be the first link. Or maybe you can type it in here. Windwalker Monk talent cal. It's thinking. There are no results. That's not good. It looks like it's in Tools Talent Calculator Monk Windwalker Conduit, but you can. I literally just Google it. I Google Windwalker Monk Talent Calculator, and it's like the first link that pops up. Did you get Alpha? I didn't realize that you had to apply for Alpha. Well, you can't even apply for Alpha actually. I thought that people just got it. See, my brain's not very big, right? I don't really think these things through. So no, I don't have alpha, but don't worry. I have gone to extreme measures, and I've contacted. I made a Blizzard ticket this morning, and I said, "Hi, can I get alpha?" And I'm sure they're going to reply and say, "Yeah, sure." So I probably will be on the alpha tomorrow, because they're definitely going to give it to me. They won't, but I mean, it was a long shot. Apparently, like you kind of have to like know a guy who knows a guy to really get the alpha and stuff like that. I signed up for beta, right? That's good. Uh, do. Oh shit, I'm late. No, I'm just pre-yapping about fucking nothing, mate. You're not late. You're not late. I'm rambling. The real batch of alpha access will be released sometime today. There's hope. Oh, sweet. They're gonna see my ticket and be like, "This guy seems legitimate." I like these guys' credentials. I literally just wrote a ticket that said, "Hi, I'm Windwalker PAV. Can I have a can I have an alpha? Can I have an alpha, please?" It was a bit more in depth than that, but that was basically the ticket summary. I'm sure they'll be like, "Man, this guy seems legitimate. Get him one." Can we confirm that hit combos remaining? We can confirm hit combos is remaining. It is. Oh, I fucking hate this tree. I think it's here. Yes, fuck, I'm so good at this. Hit combos is remaining. In pretty much the exact same space it was before. Kind of, more or less, right? Hit combos is here. However, the big difference is it's not a choice node anymore. Because Flurry of Zuin is down here now. So see, this is the most annoying thing, right? Because it's all question marks. So I'm mostly going to be working off of the actual development notes here, but I will go through these. It's going to be hard to like go through them. Like images help a lot, but just we'll work it out. We'll work it out. It'll be fine. We'll get through it together. If we all hold hands and work through it, I'm sure it'll be fine. I've seen hit combo on alpha talent tree. Yeah, hit combos are still a thing. Crop each tooltip and splash it to paint to make your own tree. Ah. That would take me like so long to. By the time I'd done that, right? By the time I'd created my own tree, they'd have updated this one. Also, I'd have to like create icons for certain things, right? Like Obsidian Swirl, Obsidian Spiral, even doesn't have an icon. I guess I could give it one, like a big old golem spinning around. Yeah. No. Big shout out for the Windwalker specific boss guides. They're godsend. Oh, no worries. I'm trying to get them out like every other day. I meant to do it like a week or two ago, but I've been so ill. It's why I've not really streamed or done anything for like the past 2 weeks because I've just been not good. But I'm alive again. I would have streamed earlier, but my voice was just gone still for like this whole week. So I got better on Monday, but then I think my voice is still kind of a little bit rough. But like I was just it was so bad. I don't think I've had an illness like this in years. It was not fun. I don't recommend it. If you can avoid getting ill, do it. Um, Maybe if you create a cool icon for a passive, they give you alpha. Maybe. Hey, ChatGPT, create me a cool icon for Obsidian Spiral, and it will just create some absolute degenerate dog shit. But it might look good enough if I make it a really small icon. They might not be able to tell. I've made a ton of custom tooltips with my rework suggestions. Where's my alpha access? You gotta know a guy who knows the guy. You gotta slip them. You know, it's like the handshake deals where they got like a note in their hand, in their palm, and they shake hands and the money transfers. It's one of those. You gotta find Ian and then give him a little cheeky handshake. Did they remove Seth and replace it with nothing or something? They have removed Storm, Earth, and Fire, correct? We will go through that. But they have replaced it. They replaced it with Weapons of Order, which is essentially going to be the big cooldown. Weapons of Order is basically, it's essentially ordered elements, right? Except ordered elements basically, when you activated Storm, Earth, and Fire, you basically reset the cooldown of Rising Sun Kick, got 2 chi, and then every chi cost was reduced and Blackout Kick, yada yada yada. But now it's like you press Weapons of Order, and then that resets the cooldown of Rising Sun Kick, gives you 2 chi, and then it does the exact same thing, except instead of pressing Storm Earth and Fire, you now press Weapons of Order. But it doesn't give you a damage buff, which is interesting. So that's what like what Storm Earth and Fire did is essentially gave you it split your damage up into 3, but it gave you a 20% damage buff. So that was useful, but we have to be real here. Real talk. Storm Earth and Fire was a bad ability. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the clones, right? I'm a big fan of the clones. I'm really sad we're losing the boys. It's such a flavorful ability, but it is so buggy. It is such a mess. Anytime something new comes out, Storm Earth and Fire will fuck it. We actually lose so much damage from Storm Earth and Fire. It's a crazy bad ability, and it causes a lot of like under the hood issues. A lot of our talents don't operate well with it. It's just a fucking mess. So in that sense, I don't mind them removing Storm Earth and Fire. I think it's fine, and I'm kind of glad they have. But on the other hand, I really like the flavor of just summoning like your 3 little clone dudes, yourself included, I suppose, and then just like smacking shit. But realistically, damage increase, straight up damage increase. Probably the biggest damage increase we've gained. Not really, but it'll make our damage actually more reflective, I suppose, of like actual like sim damage and stuff like that. I guess maybe. Do. We still have the boys with a reworked Shadow of the Wall, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one. They've removed Storm Earth and Fire, but now they're still giving us essentially another pet, like another little clone dude. No idea how this guy functions or how he works, but hopefully he's not a buggy mess. Maybe like, I don't know. Like, hopefully they don't use the Storm Earth and Fire clone code. That would be good. Maybe they just use like, I don't know, like a lot of like other classes can spawn pets, right? Maybe it works like that instead. I don't know. It's really more like this is all just like theory, I guess. Yes, we haven't lost clones. You can still summon a clone, but it's just not going to be as well. I say it's not going to be as buggy. I'd like it to not be as like such a mess as Storm Earth and Fire. Why they're making baseline abilities talents like Blackout Kick reducing cooldowns? I'm not sure. Is the short of it. Maybe just more power into the talent tree. I mean, you got to remember we're guessing. How does it work, right? You get your Apex talents. We gain 10 levels, so you can put you can put 5 talents into your Apex talents, and then you can put more into your actual talent tree, right? So like you have 5 extra nodes that you can essentially upgrade, right? I but the hero talent these trees, this is bigger, no? Like, am I crazy? Yeah, so the actual conduit, for example, this is a bigger talent tree now, so I don't know how that plays into it. Because we've gained an extra 3 abilities in the hero talent trees, right? Because you had like 9 in the middle, 1 at top, 1 at bottom, but now we've got an extra 3 here. So I don't know if those are good, because they'll take up talent node points, right? So I imagine 3 of them have to go there. So if that means 3 of them have to go there, 4 into your Apex talents, but you don't actually. I remember them saying you don't have to use your Apex talents. So potentially you could just not take the Apex talents and then get essentially, oh, math's so hard, 7 extra talents in your actual Windwalker tree if you wanted to. Is that? I don't know if I'm just chatting shit. I do remember them saying you don't have to take Apex talents though if you don't want to. But you probably will, right? Like, like yeah, unless they're absolutely dog shit, you are gonna take them. 4 for Windwalker, 3 for base, and 3 for Terror talents. Potentially, yeah. I don't have a great memory on this, but that sounds right. 4 for Windwalker, 3 for base, 3 for hero talents. You either put 4 into Apex or 4 into the spec tree you have chosen. Oh, cool. Okay then. So yeah, I mean, like realistically speaking, right? That you're probably gonna go into your Apex talents. Oh right, yes, it's not down. Yeah, it's only 4 here because it's 2 in the middle, 1 at top, 2 in the middle, 1 at the bottom. But I mean, the Apex talents looks pretty strong, right? I mean, it's all crit based and it works with Weapons of Order. So I'd be very surprised if it wasn't taken because Weapons of Order you're gonna be taking for like pretty much both builds now, and it synergizes with that, gives you crit on top of it. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if you didn't end up taking the Apex talents. It'd have to be really, really bad. However, I mean, I guess there's the option of you don't take them and then you can get 4 extra just baseline Windwalker nodes. So that's kind of cool. I don't know how often that will actually be done, but yeah, could be. You don't have to, but you do way less damage if you don't. Yeah, but there might be like really niche situations, right? Like some like really like degenerate situations where it actually makes more sense to take like a certain set of random ass talents than it is to take the Apex. Or like you can do this as well, right? You could take Tiger's Eye Brew at the top and then skip these two down here. Like you don't have to take the one at the bottom that impacts Fist of Fury. So you could basically just take the one that gives you the Tiger's Eye Brew every 7 seconds, gives you crit chance, that stacks, and then instead put 3 of your talents into here instead. And something like that could be potentially decent. It just depends how valuable the actual like crit damage would be, and increasing the damage of Fist of Fury. But like generally speaking, it seems like they want Fist of Fury to be the cornerstone of Windwalker. Holy shit, it's so loud outside. I'm just gonna close my window. The garbage men are here. They're coming for me. They're cleaning out the trash outside. They almost got me. I escaped. Yeah, so like something like that could work. Because you probably definitely want the first node, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead of ourselves. I think the way to do this is to look at the class first. Makes sense, right? What have they changed with the class talent tree? Following the class talent tree, we'll probably look at Windwalker itself, the actual changes to the Windwalker talent tree, and then we'll look at hero talents, right? Kind of makes sense. Thank you for the follows. Appreciate it, my dudes. So yeah, we'll get into it in a sec. Let me have some coffee. I need to hype myself up. There's drops here on Twitch? Allegedly, yeah. I think you get a bumblebee or something, right? I have no idea. All right. So we'll start with class. Top one over here, doesn't matter, we don't care, we're not Mistweavers. Fuck it. Save them all. We also don't really care about this one. Really? This is more like a Mistweaver talent as well. I don't think you've ever run this ever as Windwalker. Maybe in like some super niche situation, but like realistically, you're not taking Save Them All, so who gives a fuck? The biggest change coming to the class, right, is they say Diffuse Magic has been redesigned. What this means is it's been removed, right? Diffuse Magic, well, it has technically been redesigned, okay? But look, Diffuse Magic was always a talent node with Yulon's Grace this expansion, so you could choose one or the other. You never took Yulon's because it's dog shit. You took Diffuse Magic, yeah? Great defensive, 1 minute 30 cooldown, reduced magic damage taken by 60%, really useful in a ton of situations, amazing defensive, probably one of my favorite defensives, and in quotation marks, transferred all current harmful active magic effects back to the original caster. This never fucking worked on anything that was actually important to send back to anyone. Super useful when it did work. Like, there were some things that you could, like, remove. Like a big one that I remember was Silken Court. You could just diffuse magic yourself with the Silken Court debuff and it bounced back, and that was like pretty clutch if your healers didn't have like the dispel at the right time or you had to get it in a window. So that was really useful. You can remove magic effects in certain dungeons, right, with diffuse magic, but the thing I found the most value from diffuse magic is it's just a really solid defensive, right? Like if you knew a big amount of magic damage was coming out, reducing it by 60% was massive. Yeah, like huge, really impactful. So what they've done is they've essentially, when you be in the class talent tree, that always helps. They've removed it. It's not a node anymore, so it's just Yulon's Grace now, which they have technically buffed, I think. So I imagine you'll always take Yulon's Grace. I'd be surprised if you didn't, because it's just magic absorb shield, right? It is 1% every 3 seconds in combat, stacking up to 10%. So I guess it's not bad. It's like a good magic defense shield that you can get every so often. I mean, potentially you don't take this, but I mean, we need some sort of magic defense, right? So why not? What they've done instead is they've now attached the diffuse magic effect to Fort Brute. Bear in mind, though, that it doesn't give you magic defense, right? So the 60% magic defense or resistance or reduced damage, whatever you want to call it, is no longer a thing. All it means is that Fort Brew can now transfer harmful magic effects back to their original caster. And as we've just discussed, that was always the most fucking useless part of diffuse magic because it never worked with anything, right? On top of that, like straight off the bat, I'm not a fan of this. I don't like this at all. So I'm coming at it very negatively. I think this is an awful change. They've essentially removed a big defensive and attached it to Fort Brew. But the issue is, you're never fortifying Brew. You wouldn't be fortifying Brew reactively to an effect on top of you, right? Because it's going to be one of your only two defensives, right? With Karma, and now we'll have Fort Brew, and that's it. Fort Brew is your big, your big increase health, reduce all damage taken. You're going to need this at certain points. If you get a magic effect on you, I mean, like, it's very situational if you're going to be pop out at that time. A lot of the time you maybe have to Fort Brew before the damage comes in, right? Because it hits like a truck, and you can't be like sat on like less than like you need the damage reduction just before the effect comes in. What, you're gonna hold Fort Brew for a little bit just to then get the effect on you to bounce it off? Probably not, right? I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. You might take it just for those like odd situations, but I'm just more not happy that we've basically lost a defensive. I think that's kind of bad. I don't know why they've done it. I guess maybe there's less damage in Midnight. Probably not. I don't know. I think this is a really weird change. Like it was the first thing I spotted when I looked at the class tree last night. I was like looking through these question marks, and I was like, hold up, there's meant to be a talent node here, and it's gone. So it's now just a remove effect that you can put onto Fortifying Brew. How often you'll take it, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Fortifying Brew now becomes a really cool reactive defensive that you're going to pop after you've taken a massive amount of damage and you've got a nasty dot on you and you want to bounce it back, and oh shit, it doesn't reflect it. Oh well. You know what I mean? Like, basically, for this to be like amazingly useful, they have to fix how this works, I think. Like, basically, diffuse magic should be able to transfer all harmful magic effects back, right? If they can fix that, then maybe it's good. If they can't fix that, then it's going to be one of those talent nodes, I think, that you'll take for certain dungeons, maybe. Where you like get a nasty dot and you have to reflect it. But I'm just not happy that we've lost defensive. I think that's just shit. So yeah, good start. Seems like they're pruning defenses from a lot of specs, so that's probably why. Oh, fair. I haven't really looked at a lot of different specs, but it's interesting then that they're removing defenses. I mean, one thing that won't be covered because it's not in the Windwalker section of changes is, I mean, I can scroll down actually because it's worth talking about it real quickly. Is they're changing kicks. They're changing how kicks work. Where is it? Oh, it's so far down. Tiger Eye Brew has been removed. Ignore that. Let's play. Oh god, where is it? I don't think it's on here. Essentially, they're changing how kicks work. So... Oh, it's on another tab. Yeah, basically, yes, what Serbia said. It's a 5-second lock for melee, right? Unless you're a rogue. Rogues get 6 seconds because they're kind of based. So that's kind of cool, I guess. So it's a longer lock. 'Cause the worst thing that I find, and the thing I hate the most when I do a Mythic Plus, and I'm sure a lot of people hate it as well, is when you kick an ad, and it looks you dead in the eyes, laughs at you, and then just starts casting again. And you're like, what the fuck is I just kicked you. Can you not? So hopefully it works more like how... Because what they did is they changed how CC works, and for this expansion, they changed how CCing actually worked on mobs. Because previously, if you CC'd, it would reset their like cast timer or whatever. That's how it like kind of worked, right? So it kind of like CC worked as a kick. They removed that. So you know how like if you leg sweep something when it's casting, the moment it comes out of leg sweep, it instantly starts casting again. If they can inherently fix the issue where if you interrupt something with a kick, it actually goes on a cooldown and doesn't instantly cast again, then I think that really helps. Because there's nothing worse than basically doing a big large pack of trash, and it's a race between how much CC you have and how long the ads die, right? Because if you get my best example of this is Operation Floodgate. You know, when you're up at the top and you've popped all your cooldowns on that pack with the Bloodsucker who sucks all you off, and then you fly down and you fight the big the swamp dudes, and they start casting Jettison Kelp, and then you're all starting to panic, and you're like, how much CC have we got? We've all popped our cooldowns, oh fuck! and Jetson Kelp starts absolutely annihilating everyone, and you're hitting with CC, and the moment they come out of the CC, they start Jetson Kelping again, and it's a race against time. How much CC do you have compared to how much damage you can put out before they just down you? If it works like that, obviously it's not interruptible, but it's kind of allow it to be interruptible for the tangent I'm on. Basically, I think it should work like that, where like actually kicks are useful, and if you kick something, it actually has meaning. Like a lot of the time it does, but like there are certain ads where just kicking doesn't matter. Like all you're doing is stopping their cast for a second, and then it will just start again. So if it works like that, and ads don't just instantly cast again, you get the 5-second lockout. Good design, and that will save Mythic Plus. Patent pending. Saved, game saved. I love kicking the second someone stuns the mobs, just wasting my kick. Yeah, it feels good. It feels good, man. Those situations make the defensive prune very scary too. I mean, exactly right. Like, um, just one less defensive is just kind of scary. I guess we're all gonna have to spec into Soothing Mist and Elusive Mists. My time is now. I just start just standing still. You're like 6% damage reduction. That's all you're gonna get. That's your new third defensive. Enjoy. All right. So 10 minutes already spent on the first change. Great. It's gonna be a long one. Yeah. So diffuse magic redesigned. Not a fan of it. Hate it. Give me my diffuse magic back. I think it'll be very niche if you actually take diffuse magic now, as it's an attachment to fortifying brew, but it probably will still see play. Soothing Mist healing increased by 50%. Probably more useful for actual healers, Mist Weavers. But actually not too bad for Windwalkers. I'm a massive fan of taking Soothing Mist and Elusive Mists. If anyone watches my videos, you probably have watched a video or two here if you're watching the stream, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe you're just here for a Twitch mount drop or whatever. Who knows? I'm a big fan of Soothing Mist, Elusive Mist, as I think it's like a really useful extra defensive combination in a lot of situations. So I take this a lot in M+, as like basically my, oh shit, I don't have Fort, I don't have Diffuse, I don't have Karma, and big damage is coming. Well, this gives me 6% DR. So Soothing Mist gives you a little bit more healing as well, because like you cast it on yourself. I mean, you can cast it on another player and give them DR as well, which is a secret elusive tech. But for the sake of the argument, you prop it on yourself, and then you cast Elusive Mists. Well, you don't cast it at procs, but you're casting Soothing Mist, and then you're vivifying yourself, getting some extra healing from Soothing Mist. Always nice, so decent change, fine, why not? Vivacious Vivification no longer increases the healing of Vivify and now functions with Shalon's Gift. It's not great. So this is how old Vivacious Vivification worked. It basically increased your healing by 20% from Vivify, and then after Rising Sun Kick, you got the next Vivify. That change came in this season. It still works the exact same way in the sense that after you Rising Sun Kick, you get your free Vivify, but now it just heals you a bit less. I don't think this is awful. I think this is fine. If you're Shadow Pan, it won't be as bad because you're still going to be taking, well, 9 times out of 10, you're probably still taking Protect and Serve, right? But, it was always nice to have that bit of extra healing, because sometimes you'd have the extra healing, and then you'd get big and you'd proc, like, Protect and Serve. You didn't proc Protect and Serve, you got Protect and Serve, but then you procced a crit, right, with your heal, and you'd suddenly heal for, like, 7 million health, and that was really cool. I think it's fine. It's only a small loss. The main thing is that you can still instantly Vivify after Rising Sun Kick, so that's good. That's all we care about. Still allowing ourselves to actually have a instant heal on demand, essentially. Monks have the lowest HP pool out of all classes. I miss the old free Vivify. Yeah, I mean, this one's grown on me. I really like the old one. Outside of combat, it felt good. But there's been a lot of situations where being able to force it have been really useful. On Demencius Prog, being able to Rising Sun Kick Vivify into a Rising Sun Kick Vivify was really, really useful. I found a lot of uses for it. Whereas before, I would have to Vivify and then wait the 10 seconds, right, and then get the next Vivify off that was free, instant heal. So I don't mind. I think in actual combat, this is really useful. Outside of combat, a bit lame, but you probably want an actual useful heal inside of combat than outside of combat, right? And then this one's pointless, Brewmaster only, we don't give a shit. The following talents have been removed. Chi Burst. I think I'm fine with this, really. how often do you actually take Chi Burst? Um, really not often. I think Chi Burst isn't a bad ability. I think I used it on one prog boss. What did I use it on? I did use it on something. I think I used it on Nexus King at one point for some degenerate reason on the platforms. It wasn't that useful, but I think it's fine to lose Chi Burst, which means that we're essentially just going to have Chi Wave, right? Obviously, they've still got the talent nodes here. I think Chi Burst is if you're going Brewmaster. So Chi Wave is what you take standard, right? It's the one that just, passively heals you. Um, oh, wait, no, they changed it. Oh, shit, they changed it. Okay. Right, let's read this then. We need to start reading. Every 15 seconds, your next Keg Smash or Vivify releases a wave of Chi energy that flows through friends and foe, bouncing up to 7 times. Okay, so they've changed how Chi Wave actually works then. Because Chi Wave currently is just passive, right? Chi Wave, wait, what? Am I cooked? Chat? Am I cooked? Ignore me, I'm not cooked. It's the exact same. I knew this. Don't worry about it. I cast Vivify all the time in combat. Yep. Ugh, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, let's move on from that one. Let's move on from that one. Oh, I'm cooked. But yeah, basically, I think Chi Burst, going back to actual Chi Burst itself, I think that's fine that Chi Burst is removed. The only time like I realistically ever saw it run was in Race to World First. Like Trill maybe or Boomy ran Chi Burst on Prog and stuff like that. Outside of that, it's very niche. The issue with Chi Burst is, I think right now when we have like so much haste and all that jazz, it's very useless because you never really have time to actually press it to get value from it. Potentially, it's good at the start of an expansion when you have really low stats, especially with like a stat squish and stuff, right? Jesus Christ, we're gonna have like 0 haste. It's gonna be awesome. So maybe it would have been stronger, but I mean, there's no point really rambling on about it. Chibo's gone. Cool. Clash gone. Anybody that used this? Yeah, I don't even know. I couldn't think of any situation that you'd ever press Clash. It's gone. Okay, fine. Rising Sun Kick, remove for Brewmaster. Fine, I don't care. I'm not Brewmaster. So yeah, overall, not too many class changes that matter, like for Windwalker. The big one's the Diffuse Magic gone, right? And that's all I really care about, and I'm not happy about this. Bring it back. That'd be nice. Or, I don't know, maybe don't attach it to Fortifying Brew. I feel like Fortifying Brew is... Like, I feel like when you think about it, Fortifying Brew is like your bigger defensive. Like, Karma, I feel like, is the one that you press more often when you're trying to reflect damage, do damage to the target, and you can press that like more often during the cast. Like let's say Swamp Face is smashing the ground and beating the shit out of you, right? And then he hits you with the first tick, and then you karma and reflect it back to him and do damage. But where I think Fortifying Brew is more of one where you want Fortifying Brew to run for the entire time, right? So you want it to go for its entire smash. You pre-pop Fortifying Brew. Like don't get me wrong, you can pre-pop Karma as well, which you probably should do. But I feel like Karma is the one that you probably use as more like the reactive one rather than Fort Brew. You're not Fort Brewing reactively. You're prepping a Fort Brew in advance, right? Um, like yeah, but then Karma's not in the talent tree, so hmm. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Hate this. Bad. Moving on. I think it might be borderline acceptable if Fort Brew and Yulon's Grace are buffed. Yeah, I mean, I just I'm just worried about defenses. You know, like I'm just so worried about defensives. Like I feel like I've never thought that Windwalker was a squishy character until I did Dementius, and I realized that our defenses fucking suck in a lot of situations. And like don't get me wrong, our defenses are good when you use them, but outside of defensives, we have nothing. Like our inherent like healing and stuff is so fucking bad. Like I feel like such a noodle on that boss. And I'm so reliant on these 3 defensives to get one cut out on something like that is terrifying. Like if I didn't have diffuse magic on Dementius, right? Let's say Dementius was next tier's first boss, and I didn't have diffuse magic, which I have to use twice in P1 to survive P1. I'm just like, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe bosses will do 50% less mechanics, and we'll all be good. Apex talents. Well, I think I want to go over the Windwalker class tree first. Makes more sense. We can look at the developer note to get. it's good to look at the developer notes because it gives you like kind of like a feel and an idea for what they're going for. So they're primarily focused on removing conditional modifiers and making sure the base damage of spells feel impactful. TLDR, basically, we do have a lot of conditional modifiers, right? A lot of our talents and stuff, like modified damage, stuff like that, Storm, Earth, and Fire, that sort of jazz. They want our actual base damage of spells to feel impactful. I know I've just literally just resaid what they said in the developer notes, but it's essentially what they mean. They don't want like it to feel like all of our damage comes from, you know, the modifiers coming from our talent tree, if that kind of makes sense. Or like Storm, Earth, and Fire was like the best example of this. It's a conditional modifier that allows you to do like your increased damage, right? It's why Weapons of Order is a little bit different. Weapons of Order inherently doesn't give you a modified damage. It just makes the cooldown, well, I guess the chi cost and the cooldown, like, in you can manipulate the cooldown of like things like Fist of Fury and stuff. So then your base Fist of Fury does more damage. If that kind of makes sense. So I think that's cool. I kind of like it. The big, well, not the big thing, but a thing to notice, critical strikes will be the main way their damage changes value. So right off the bat, we know that they want Windwalker to have crit as their secondary stat, and it kind of feeds into Tiger Eye Brew. They want us to be crit based, which I think is fine. It's just trying to work out what the other main secondary stat will be, right? Because I think crit's fine to have. Because currently we're mastery haste, right? Haste mastery, little bit of verse sprinkled in there, but I think it depends, because at the same time, then they say our goal is that this will reduce the rotational overhead and allow more focus on procs, resource management, and mastery combo strikes to drive gameplay. But my thought is, if they want mastery combo strikes to drive gameplay, and they want crit strike to be your secondary stat, does that mean they want mastery to be your other secondary stat? Does that mean we're going to basically play with no haste? Which is not awful. I mean, we've played with no haste before. Because the thing is that this tier, well, Season 2 and Season 3, they've wanted us to be mastery-driven, right? Like, Conduit, super mastery-driven. Shadowpan as well, to be honest, quite mastery-driven. They've really wanted to emphasize that the damage that you do from not pressing the same ability 2 times in a row is where a lot of your damage comes from. And they seem to want that to drive gameplay. So I could easily see it be a crit and mastery season, initially, right? Crit mastery expansion, which I think is fine. It'll feel really slow, but I think the positive from that is it's not versatility, because the worst part was when we were crit verse, right? And everything was super sluggish. We relied entirely on trinket damage. It was not a good time to be alive. I think crit and mastery is fine to have as your two secondaries. Potentially it'll be crit and haste, right? And maybe mastery is just they want you to play the mastery combo strikes, and that's just how they want you to play the gameplay. And mastery is not too important. It really depends how, because in Season 2, they increase the coefficiency of mastery, right? That's why, like, a lot of you will be sat at 80, 90% mastery, right? Even though you have the same amount of raw stats as you have for haste, which is only sat at like 20, 30. And it's because they increased how much percent of a stat actually, or how much raw stat actually works into the percentage of mastery. I've seen no changes to that, which makes me think that they still, like, the raw stats of mastery should still essentially give you like a big amount of mastery. So potentially you still gain a ton of value from mastery by not stacking too much into it. Then you're able to get haste to help you play out the crit. I don't know. It's very early days, but the 100% thing is they want you to be crit, right? They want crit. Be crit. Grief Torch, my beloved. Oh, I loved Grief Torch. There was nothing better than essentially praying for someone to die. Like, you'd just be sat there with a grief torch and you'd be like, all right, when someone down and someone would die, and you'd be like, yes, instantly pop trinket. Unlucky, bozo. Thanks for the free damage. And it slapped. Don't get me started on this dev note. I was on the fence yesterday, but today I hate it. I mean, I feel like they're trying to simplify a lot of specs. Like, so I've been talking to some other players in my guild, right? And they're talking about enhance and stuff like that, and how they feel like it's being simplified. I guess to a degree, it's also being semi-simplified for Windwalker, right? Obviously, don't get me wrong, Storm, Earth, and Fire was a super buggy ability, but by removing Storm, Earth, and Fire, they removed the actual usefulness of, like, you know, maybe fixating clones and stuff like that. Obviously, it's not the same anymore without Mark of the Crane, But you can see them like they've slowly but surely removed some of maybe like in quotation marks the skill expression, right? Like a lot of people weren't too happy about Mark of the Crane being removed because it actually required you to, influence your clones to get the stacks to do more spinning crane kick damage. Now they're removing now they're removing Storm and Fire, which potentially, like, obviously it was super buggy, but if you were good with your Storm and Fire, you could position it in a way that even when it was buggy, right, and a mess and it aimed the wrong way, right. But let's say it wasn't for that situation, you could actually set it up in a bit more skill expression there by removing it. Maybe a bit less skill expression, but I mean, I think Mark of the Crane probably did the biggest skill expression loss more than anything. I don't think it's inherently bad. Let's be real. I think like not dumbing down the game, but they're simplifying the game a lot because of all this like cooldown changes, add-on changes, weak aura changes, or like bans, I suppose you can call them. I think they're trying to simplify quite a lot, which is okay. But will it work? Like that's the big question. There's like the idea is fine, I think, but does it actually work in practice? And will people enjoy it? Will it actually work out how they want it to work out? Is the game going to be too hard to play without this? Like, does the fact that you know what I mean? Like, it's very up in the air, and I feel like they have to hit it perfectly. And if they don't hit it perfectly, I don't know, dude. Like WoW players will mass uproar. It will be the Revolution V2. Prepping for controller WoW. I mean, to be fair, if I could play WoW on my Xbox, I would play WoW on my Xbox. You should. It should be You know how like if you play like any other game, like you play Apex or you play COD or whatever, and it has like a little image in the top right corner that is a symbol of what console you're playing on. You sign up for a Mythic Plus key, and it's got a symbol of an Xbox icon in the top right, so you know like you're joining an Xbox group, and you're like, "Fuck this shit." Oh my god, that'd be so funny. Mythic Plus crossplay. Oh man. No, it would be so toxic. It would be so toxic. It's not really saying anything new about crit specifically. It's just pointing out that crit will be one of the only few ways that base spell damage is affected. Oh, really? Am I just reading it wrong? Uh, True. Yeah, I guess we're saying, but would that still not mean that crit is like still valued quite a lot, right? Because they put a lot of like, from what I'm seeing with Tiger Eye Brew, right? Critical strike chance increased by so much fold. Like, I feel like if it's the main way that actually changes your damage values, then it's probably like the main way that you probably want to build, right? Is that not like, can it not be read as that as well? Gonna main Steam Deck next expansion. Oh no. Anyway, moving on. I think we're gonna look at what was removed first. I think that makes the most sense. Look, I was gonna start with acclamation, but we'll just start down here. Storm and Fire gone, right? Say goodbye. It's not a bad thing. The only sad thing, I guess, is the flavor of it. But I mean, I've said it a bunch already on the stream. Buggy ability, hot mess. There's just so many inherent issues with it. Talents that it doesn't synergize well with, doesn't work with. It's just such a mess of an ability. The only downside is that it's been a thing since Warcraft 3. And it's kind of that ability that has been the staple of Windwalker for decades. When did MOP come out? Like the other months now. Yeah, Storm and Fire's been like big for a few months now since MOP Classic came out. But yeah, you know what I mean. That's the only downside to it, right? It's like when they removed Serenity. Serenity had been a thing for like years and years. Mark of the Crane removed. That was a big thing as well. Been around for years and years. I think that was like 9 years or something that been around. It's not a bad thing, but it is sad to see the boys go. I would have loved to have a way to still have the clones, like visually, like a glyph or something, when you pop Weapons of Order or something. I don't know. They won't do it, but it was a cool ability, but it did have to go. It was bad for us. It genuinely just bad. Acclamation. So that's when you Rising Sun kick and it gives you some extra damage. I think that's fine to go. Just kind of a whatever sort of talent. Courageous Impulse as well, kind of a whatever talent. Courageous Impulse is one that worked with Blackout Kick, just gave it a bit more damage. Fine, whatever. Fury of Zuin. So that's the one at the very bottom of the talent tree. And that's the one that gives you percentage secondary stat buff. Let me get it up. Actually, no, I have it here. So Fury of Zuin, combo strikes, striking 1%. So that's the one where oh no, it's not. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah. So it gives you the second 1% chance for your next Fist of Fury to grant you 3% critical strike, haste, and mastery and invoke Zuin. So that's the one that you would have in the top right corner, and it would gain stacks up, and then you invoke Zuin, and good times. I think that's fine to go. It was just a passive thing, really. You never tracked it, you never really cared for it. It just happened naturally in the fight. Whatever. Doesn't really impact much gameplay. None of these three impact gameplay. Acclamation, Courageous Impulse. Maybe Acclamation, actually, I'd say impacts gameplay the most, because sometimes you'd actually have to think about Rising Sun kicking or Spinning Crane kicking in a situation, but really not that much. Gale Force actually impacted gameplay, and it is a big remove talent. So, if anyone that doesn't know, Gale Force is when you have Strike of the Windlord, you press Strike of the Windlord, then, anything that was struck by your Strike of the Windlord for 10 seconds afterwards will basically take 10% nature damage from abilities that you do afterwards. And Gale Force was kind of massive in the sense of how you had to play around it. Really, more so for Conduit, I'd say, is probably the one that people know it for the most. Obviously, you can still play Shadowpan with Strike of the Windlord. But Conduit, you talk about Heart of the Jade Serpent and Gale Force windows, right? You had to make sure your Gale Force window. It's why you Strike of the Windlord before Slicing Winds, right? Because Strike of the Windlord gave you the Gale Force, and then you Slicing Winds and hit all your heavy hitters, and you needed to hit it in this 10-second window. That was the Gale Force window, and it added to the damage that you did. Gone. So, once again, simplifying the game a little bit. It kind of takes away any sort of prep from Strike of the Windlord, because previously in this tier and whatnot, or last tier as well, whenever I'd had Strike of the Windlord up, I'd think to myself, right, when do I use this most effectively to get value from Gale Force? What do I send after I've sent Strike of the Windlord? Gone. No more thinking, really. I guess you just press Strike of the Windlord now on cooldown. Good times. Good times. Yeah, not much more to say about it. I think Gale Force is a little bit of a skill expression thing as well. I think it was more of a skill expression thing with Shadowpan, actually, in Mythic Plus. Being able to get tons of value from Shadowpan with Gale Force, because it's more of a niche build, where you play Strike of the Windlord. Yeah, I think it's fine to remove this, but then once again, I think it's just another thing taken away from skill expression of the spec, but sure, whatever. Invoker's Delight, so that's when you pop Zuin and you get a big haste buff. Gone. So now you pop Zuin and get no haste. It's I don't know. I liked Invoker's Delight because thinking about Shadowpan from this tier, right, where you needed haste to help keep uptime of not Fist of Fury, Tiger Palms to get Flurry Strikes out, right? And when you were in your Zuin Stormfire window, it felt really good because you got that extra bonus haste and it allowed you to do it a lot easier. Not having that anymore kind of might suck, but obviously new expansion, stat squish, less stats, maybe not as valuable. But yeah, so essentially now anytime you pop Zuin, you're not going to get a big haste buff. So kind of sucks. Another little burst window gone. Yeah, exactly. Removed acclamation before acknowledging it spelled acclamation. The biggest flex with them naming it in the talent, the notes here, spelling it correctly. Is Essence Font coming back to Mistweaver? I have no idea. I don't play Mistweaver. Essence Font. I can't see that shit. No idea. So sorry. So this is the weird one. Jadefire Stomp and Jadefire Harmony removed. But they've kept. So I think what this means is that they've removed the version of Jadefire Stomp where you actually you press it, right? Like Jadefire Stomp and Jadefire Fist are two separate things. Fist is where you press Fist of Fury and then the Jadefire line would come out. and then Stomp was where you'd actually have it as a button and you'd press it and the line would come out. So it looks like what they've done is they've just removed the fact that you could essentially have it as an extra ability, right? And they've now just made it so Jade Fire is still in the game, but now it's just the Fist of Fury version of it, right? So at the end of Fist of Fury, you release a Jade Fire Stomp. The big thing here is that it looks like there's no internal cooldown. Whereas previously it wasn't every Fist of Fury, right? Yeah, previously it was every 25 seconds, which sucked, right? Like you'd only basically get this every 25 seconds. That's awful, right? You'd get this thing after you Fist of Fury. It's why you never really took it. But from looking at this, there looks like there's no time limit to it. So every time you Fist of Fury, potentially you'll send out a Jade Fire Stomp. Is that bad? That kind of sounds good, right? Maybe. And then looking down here, you've got Path of the Jade and Singularly Focused Jade. So these are the... I see what they've done here. So you've got Path of Jade, which increases the damage of Jade Fire Stomp by 10% per target hit by that damage up to a maximum of 50%. Right, they've changed it, right? Okay, I see what they've done here. So, what would you choose before? Previously, you probably would have gone Jade Fire Harmony, and that's what they removed, right? That's where, if you actually ever ran Jade Fire, it would hit all the targets, right? And then they'd get a debuff on them, which meant that you dealt more damage to them. And that was kind of the gimmick, right? You'd send out Jade Fire, hit 5 targets, because that was its cap, and then you'd do more damage to them. You never took it, but that's how it worked. Now they've changed it so that part doesn't exist. So now, if you want to go Jade Fire, all it is it happens at the end of Fist of Fury, and all it will do is it will either do a lot of damage to one target, or it will do 50% damage, like 10% damage up to 5 targets, which would be 50%. But it's after every Fist of Fury. I don't know. I think it might be okay. I think it hinges on if it's at the end of every Fist of Fury. I think that would be the big thing. Like, potentially, I think this is going to be a damage... I think with Jade Fire Stomp, it's just going to be a damage thing, right? Is the damage high enough to value getting the... Like, let's say you have a single target boss, right? Does you hitting this ability after every Fist of Fury at 500% increased damage actually outvalue your other talents? If it does, then you'd take it, right? But there's not much thought into it anymore. Once again, skill expression kind of gone in the sense that it's passive. You have no option to send it out yourself, and it doesn't debuff things. So like it won't debuff anything, so that then you hiss it more, right? Like it does. Like all it does is it's a passive thing that will hit the 5 targets or the 1 target if you choose it to do that, and that's it. But I think this hinges on tuning. If the tuning's good, you will probably take this, right? I wouldn't see why not. Its hard captain still tuned very poorly as it stands. It's still garbage. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what I mean. I think it will just straight come down to if it's tuned right or not. But once again, simplified Jade Fire Stomp. Cool. Last Empress Capacitor, my beloved. I'm actually more upset about this than Storm, Earth, and Fire. Oh man, I enjoyed Lightning. Oh man, that's sad, right? We all sad about this? But from looking at this, they've also removed Crackling Jade Lightning? But they didn't mention it? Yeah, there's no more, unless it's like, I wish these weren't question marks. This is what bothers me the most. I can't see Crackling Jade Lightning on its own. Oh yeah, I'm so cooked. I'm sorry, I'm not thinking of Crackling Jade Lightning. I'm thinking of Power of the Thunder King. So I'm sorry, guys. Yes. Crackling Jade Lightning is basically. I was looking for Power of the Thunder King because that was the one I meant that they didn't think. So I guess because Power of the Thunder King came as a addition to Last Empress Capacitor, they took that away. So obviously, if you don't have Last Empress Capacitor, you probably don't have Power of the Thunder King, right? Probably still worth them actually putting it down that Power of the Thunder King's gone, right? Because unless you have a brain like me, which is cooked, I like this. I think it was cool, but I understand why they're removing it. All you have to do is look at raid damage for Windwalker. On paper, Windwalker's raid damage is really good, and we're actually one of the strongest specs in the raid. If you look at all fights, which is probably not a good way to look at the raid, but a lot of people do, right? it, it, it actually looks like Windwalker's pretty decent. Then you look at the breakdown of ad damage and boss damage. Windwalker's at the fucking bottom of boss damage, right? We absolutely we do no boss damage in comparison to other specs. Our ad damage is really high. And then you break down our ad damage. Where does it all come from? It comes from Last Empress Capacitor, Crackling Jade Lightning, Power of the Thunder King, and Flurry Strikes, right? But predominantly, Crackling Jade Lightning carries us in raid on a lot of fights. Soulbinder carries our damage. It's why Windwalker is one of the strongest, if not the strongest specs in that fight. It's just so strong. Forge Weaver, as even really strong on all the ad sets. What else? Soul Hunters, really strong on Soul Hunters as well. Just hitting 3 targets with Crackling Jade Lightning carries the fight for Windwalker as well. So this is the biggest issue. This is why they're removing it. Because it was a thing in Season 2 as well, right? Where you played it with Celestial Conduit, you'd go to Rick Reverb, you'd go to Styx Bunk Junker, you'd go to any of these bosses with a lot of ads. Another good example is One Armed Bandit when the ads spawn and you Crackling Jade Lightning them. Like, essentially, it's bad for it's unhealthy. In M+, I think it's a fine ability, and I think in M+, it doesn't actually carry your damage that much. It's just useful to have. In Raid, it is busted, and it makes Windwalker look better than it is. Because really in Raid, what matters? Boss damage, I guess. Obviously, ads have to die, but it makes Windwalker just look way better, way stronger than it is, and I think it's actually bad for us, right? Because if it looks like we're doing fine, but all our damage comes from the fact that we literally just electrocute ads, it's not healthy. So I'm sad that it's gone because I really enjoy lightning and I enjoy shooting it out at 5 targets, and I love seeing my damage numbers go up. Right? Who doesn't? But it's probably unhealthy with how it works now. So I think it's okay to go, but it is sad. It's generally just a tuning thing, though. I suppose, but if it was tuned poorly, you just wouldn't take it, right? I mean, what is it now? It's like 400% every tick, right? Yeah, 400% every single time. I don't know. I think what they could have probably done is maybe just kept Last Empress Capacitor in itself and maybe remove Power of the Thunder King and allowed you to just have the single target version, right? And maybe that would be playable in certain boss fights and stuff. Because, like, the other thing is this synergized really well with Shadowpan, and it would still synergize really well with Shadowpan because the Shadowpan hero talent doesn't change dramatically with energy ability impacts. I suppose AAO is changing, but we'll go over that in a bit. So yeah, I think this is fine, but it's just sad because I think this was it was cool to be able to, like, especially in Season 2. Season 2 was like peak Windwalker in my opinion for this expansion, where you could go Slicing Winds, you could go Crackling Jade Lightning, you could go Shadow Path, you could do whatever you wanted. I feel like it was a cool build path if you didn't like Slicing Winds. A lot of people hated Slicing Winds, they love Lightning. A lot of people loved Lightning, hated Slicing Winds. And it gave you that option, and it was strong, it was powerful. So yeah, sad to see that go. Martial Mixture, whatever, you know. Pretty pointless talent. Blackout Kick increases your damage of the next target harm by 8%, stacking up to 30 times. It is what it is. Goodbye, I suppose. Ordered Elements. So, Ordered Elements is gone, but it's technically not, because Ordered Elements is becoming Weapons of Order. The only difference is Ordered Elements activated with Storm, Earth, and Fire, which is now removed. Now it will just basically activate. Now it is just Weapons of Order, right? Which just activates when you press Weapons of Order, I suppose. So that's fine. So it's more being changed. I wouldn't say removed, but on paper, yes, it's removed. Storm, Earth, and Fire went through. Big sad. Goodbye, clones. Transfer the power. That's this talent down here. I think this is fine. I think the best thing that's come out of Transfer the Power, actually, is that I found that a lot of Windwalkers would try to stack this up to 10 before sending out a Fist of Fury. So if there's anything good to come out of the removal of Transfer of Power, it's that it no longer puts stacks onto Fist of Fury like this, and then tricks people that are maybe new into Windwalker to think they need to cap it at 10 before they send out a Fist of Fury. So that's probably like my main, like, oh cool, okay, that's fine, it's gone. But otherwise, it was just a passive thing that you didn't really care about. Gave more damage to Fist of Fury. Sure, whatever. gone. So in terms of things they've removed, I'm sad they removed Gale Force because it's skill expression. Last Emperor Capacity is quite sad. Storm Myth on Fire is also sad, but needed. Overall, I think most of these are fine to just go. Invoker's Delight is kind of a bit sad as well, because that made Zuin actually quite impactful. There might be a world now where you play builds where you don't take Zuin. Maybe. Other than that, in terms of removed talents, fine, whatever. Am I tripping? Why does Crackling Jade Lightning even exist for Windwalker now? Because when electric damage. I don't know. Someone give me a lore reason. For tagging mobs that are far away. Basically, I guess Brewmaster. Well, yeah, that's Windwalker. I guess, yeah, tagging mobs that are far away. You know those birds when you're doing you're doing the story campaign at midnight and they're too high for you to hit with anything. Hit with Crackling Jade Lightning. GG. It's gonna basically just become our ranged tag ability again, right? I use Crackling Jade Lightning when there's no other button to press and my target palm gets parried. Yeah, that's a good reason to use it as well. I do that as well. I love it when I get parried. Yeah, yeah. After you use Tiger Palm and you're like on no chi, and then you can't do anything about it, and I don't want to break hit combos, you instantly like Crackling Jade Lightning for a split second back into Tiger Palm. Is also another way to use Crackling Jade Lightning. I ain't breaking hit combos. You can't make me. So yeah, in terms of removal, I think it's fine. I'm okay with what they removed. I don't think it's too bad. The game needs to stay fresh, right? This game does need to stay fresh. It is worth it because I'm not breaking hit combos. You just tap it, you know. You tickle it. You press your Q button because that's what, or you shift Q button because that's what you have. That's what you have bound to Crackling Jade Lightning, and then you sidestep instantly. Bam! Hit combo saved. All right. New talents. How have they done this? Have they done this? Have they done this smartly and they've done it like in order of how they've added things, or have they just done it alphabetically? I bet there's no fucking order to this at all. I hate Blizzard so much. Oh, why have they done it like this? Do it by row, you bastards. Okay. Maybe it makes more sense to go through the question marks then, rather than actually going through this, because this is all over the place. I don't know. I think I'll do a mix. I'll do it my way. Nah, I'll do it my way. Alright. Yeah, I'll do a mix. Okay, basically, top of the tree, Fist of Fury is still a Windwalker ability. We're all happy about this? Yes. The big difference, I think, the only change they've made to this is that I'm pretty sure that it was over 4 seconds and now it's 3.5. Yes, so they've changed Fist of Fury duration by 0.5 seconds. Will this matter? It actually will. But that more to come. Well, I suppose in the grand scheme of things, that's just useful in itself, right? Shorter channel time, which means that you can press other buttons faster. And then it will also potentially synergize more with harmonic combo, but we'll get on that in a little bit. Maybe if I press enter, they'll have updated all of these icons and everything will look nice. It was worth a shot. Momentum boost. They added this in the War of In. Very useful talent node. Big fan of it. It's what basically, in quotation marks, I think saved Windwalker from being a horrible crit burst spec. Basically, it's just the one that basically means that when the more haste you had, more damage your Fist of Fury does, and then every time it ticks, it does 10% more damage, and then the last tick's obviously the last one that hits the hardest. It's why you never want to cancel Fist of Fury early. And then auto attack speed increased by 6% for 8 seconds after Fist of Fury ends. I don't think momentum boost has changed at all. No, it hasn't. Cool, momentum boost fine. Combat wisdom replaces expel harm. It's a talent node. You have to take this, right? Well, yeah, no, you do have to take this because you're taking teachings on the monastery. Let's be real about this. And then you're definitely taking Weapons of Order. So, okay, yes. Replaces Expel Harm. While out of combat, your chi balance is 2 instead of depleting to empty. We like this. Big fan. Good change in the War Within. Glad they're keeping it. And then, Tag Palm heals you a little bit every 15 seconds, but it doesn't because Expel Harm does no healing. Very useful. Thank you. And more damage. This hasn't changed at all. Sharp Reflexes. So this is a new one. Blackout Kick reduces the cooldown of Rising Sun Kick and Fist of Fury by 1 second. So I think someone said it earlier, but this comes from a baseline Windwalker, not even a talent. I'm pretty sure it's just a baseline passive we have. Oh, I forget what it's called though. Basically we have a passive that essentially does this. It's the passive but left. What's the passive called? Do you know off the top of your head? Oh, it doesn't have a name. Awesome. Okay, it doesn't have a name. Yeah, basically it's now a talent node. And realistically, you're probably always going to take it. But yeah, basically they've taken something from our hidden spell book and they've just given it to us. It's now called Sharp Reflexes. Every time you blackout kick, reduce the cooldown of Rising Sun Kick and Fist Fury by 1 second. Cool. Talent now. Probably didn't need to be a talent. It just basically... The weird thing is they basically taken away something we had free and made us have to spend a point on it, which kind of sucks, I guess. That's not great. So that's the only downside to this one. And you might also notice that this is where Acclamation was previously, right? Yeah, Acclamation was here. They've moved it. They removed it, giving us Sharp Reflexes. So Ascension. Ascension, my beloved. Increase your maximum chi by 1, maximum energy by 20, and your energy regeneration by 10%. Fine. We run this in pretty much all content. There was a period in Season 2, actually, where you dropped this at one point, but it was very niche. It was a very niche build, and it was just Shadowpan that ran it. Or didn't run it, I suppose. It's cool. We like this, and it probably gains a lot of value at the start of a expansion as well. I actually think there's a world maybe where you don't have to run Ascension sometimes with Conduit. You'd have to run it with Shadowpan just because of how Flurry Strikes work. I'm not telling you don't drop Ascension, but I'm just I'm spitballing ideas here. Basically, I think Ascension gains quite a bit of value at the start of an expansion. Just because obviously haste is super low, right? So get more energy regen, maximum energy, maximum chi. Basically, this is going to be always a must take, right? But they've moved it down to... All they've done is they moved it across one. They haven't moved it tiers or anything. What they've done differently here is they've kept Touch of the Tiger the same. It's in the same spot. But they've basically switched Ferociousness and Hardened Souls. They've changed them on either sides. And they've made them 2 stackers now. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if they need to be 2 stackers. Because I think the biggest issue and concern that I've seen the most of is that we're going to end up spending a lot of our talent points at the top of this tree already, right? Which means there'll be less to spend at later on down the tree. Because essentially, let's say you don't take Touch of the Tiger, but you're probably going to take Ferociousness, right? You take all 3 of these at the top. You take Ascension. Maybe you don't take Hardened Souls or something like that. But you've essentially there's the option to put a ton of talent points into these top nodes. And is that good? I don't know. It just feels like a lot early on. I don't know why they switched the sides as well. Potentially, there's a world where you path more down the left. You'd still take Ascension. You're probably taking Glory of Dawn, but I don't know. I don't know if there's a world either where potentially some specs just take 1 point in the talent, in their double stackers. Potentially you just end up taking 1 point into Ferociousness, or maybe you just go double Ferociousness, no Hardened Souls, double Hardened Souls. Well, no, I feel you have to take Ferociousness. It's really strong, especially with crit strike chance increased by 2%. I don't know. I don't mind. I think these are fine. I just don't like that they've made them 2 stackers, because it just means I feel double stacking talents to me feel just like a waste. I don't know how you feel about it, but they just feel like a waste. Like just spending talent points for the sense of spending talent points. So I wouldn't be surprised maybe if there's a world where you just pop one into ferociousness to get down, but we'll see. It's padding. Padding? Ew. The only padding that's allowed is on Soulbind and Azindri. When I shoot Crackling Jade Lightnings and boost my damage up to 9 million, and everybody screams. That's the only ethical padding allowed. But no, you're right. It's just padding, right? Like they ran out of talents and they're like, oh shit, we need to give them fucking put 2 on Ferociousness and put 2 on Ardent Souls. Yeah, cool that day. Nice. Quick day in the office. Basically, nothing too exciting up at the top here. The only concern is maybe having to spend too many talent points early on, but maybe there's a way to get around it by only spending like 1 in Ferociousness or 1 in Hardened Souls and that sort of jazz. Depends how much value this goes into Blackout Kick, but we'll see. Teaching of the Monastery, same as usual. You know, Blackout Kick stacks up to 4 times, 12% chance to reset the remaining cooldown of Rising Sun Kick. Yeah, I mean, it's just staple, right? You're probably taking Teachings of the Monastery, but you're not going to be able to track it anymore. Don't even try. Actually, I think you can track this with the Blizzard cooldown tracker, but it's one of those things I'm worried about, right? Because I use Loxthos, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, I track Teachings of the Monastery. Pretty useful. Are they going to ban me from tracking my Teachings in the Monastery unless I use Blizzard cooldown manager? Because it fucking looks disgusting. Yeah, bit of a tangent. Teaching the Monastery, staple Windwalker ability. You're going to always take this because you're taking Weapons of Order. Dual Threat. So they've changed this and they've moved it, right? So Dual Threat previously was all the way down here. And it basically allowed you to have a chance to kick your target. It was a little bit stronger with dual wielding than it was two-hander, but you still run it with two-hander in Season 3. You sometimes ran it in Season 2 with a two-hander. You just get more procs off if you have 2 one-handers, but it's still runnable, still strong, right? Like you still run it with all two-handers right now. And then the thing that's changed is it increased your damage dealt by 5% for 5 seconds. Well, physical damage. Now it is essentially, well, I suppose 2 things have changed. One, they removed the damage increase because it's now a higher talent, right? So it's got to have less value because it's higher up in the tree. And now auto attacks have a 30% chance to instead kick your target. So I suppose the big question is going to be, is that 10% difference, the 20 to 30%, going to be strong enough to make two-handers weaker than one-handers, right? Like, and that will be like the differential, I think, because you're going to have to take dual threat realistically to get to any of these nodes down here. So it's always going to be taken, but will it make one-handed stronger? Does the percentage chance actually matter that much? I don't do math good. I'll leave that to the theory crafters. I think I like that it's moved higher. I think that dual threat always felt, I didn't like that it was low down. I felt like it stole away from some of the more strongest hero talents. So I'm happy with dual threat being higher up. I just wonder if it's going to be impactful enough to actually affect weapon choice. We'll leave it to the Sims. Yeah, literally. That's just a leave it to the Sims angle. And then Glory of the Dawn. Same thing, right? Rising Sun Kick has a chance equal to 100% of your haste to trigger a second time, dealing physical damage and restoring 1 chi. This is going to be extremely weak at the start of an expansion, because obviously we have no haste. Do you have to take it? Maybe? Maybe not, right? Maybe you can literally drop Glory and Brawler's Intensity. I mean, maybe it's just that off. Maybe it will still have use. But, like, to me, this talent's really strong now, right? At the end of the expansion. Like, pretty much every time you Rising Sun Kick, you have, like, a 30% chance to essentially proc a 3 chi. Very useful. At the start of an expansion, kind of weak, no? Like, let's say you have 2% haste. What? I have a 2% chance to restore 1 chi. That sounds awful. That sounds... Basically, I think Glory of the Dawn is going to be bad, and I'd be very surprised if you took Glory of the Dawn. Which means that you probably wouldn't take Brawler's Intensity, right? Which loses a bit of Blackout Kick damage, and cooldown Rising Sun Kick doesn't get reduced by 1 second. But really, at the start of the expansion, I think Glory of the Dawn may be too weak to take. Maybe there's a world where you have to take it, right? Maybe it is just good enough on the Sims, but I'd be surprised. And that's why, yeah, You don't have to take 2 into Hardened Souls to take Glory of the Dawn, do you? No, you shouldn't have to. You stack haste at the beginning of the expansion anyway. You kind of, yes, but like even if you stack haste, it's not going to be a high amount, right? Like regardless of like how much you stack it, it's still going to be a really low number. Especially with like a stat squish and everything, right? Like haste is just one of your lowest stats. Well, I'm not one of your lowest. Like you likely have it like quite high up, but even when it's high up, its numbers are still really low. If that makes sense, like its percentage. So potentially take it, but I wouldn't be surprised if you drop Glory of Dawn, which means you essentially drop Brawler's Intensity as well, which is fine. A lot of people still drop Brawler's Intensity now, so. And this hasn't changed at all, same talent. Hit combo is still a thing. Big difference is that it's no longer a choice node with Flurry of Zuin. Flurry of Zuin is now at the bottom. We'll get to that when we get to the bottom. Hit combos, love it, hate it. It is the Marmite of Windwalker. I think hit combos is fine, right? Because essentially, our mastery is hit combos, right? Obviously, it punishes you a little bit if you mess up mastery, but then messing up mastery already punishes you already. So, you know what I mean? Essentially, just 5% increased damage if you are successful in using our mastery. Nothing much has changed there, but likely a take, right? Like 5% increased damage is always hard to pass up on. The big one, Weapons of Order. So this is where Storm, Earth, and Fire used to be. Everybody have a look at it one last time. Goodbye, Storm, Earth, and Fire. Essentially, this is Ordered Elements, right? Ordered Elements was over here, and now it's just moved up here. And it's called Weapons of Order. Weapons of Order is an ability that was in Shadowlands. It's also a weapon that a talent that Brewmasters have at the moment. It's basically going to be our big button. It's going to be our Storm, Earth, and Fire replacement, right? So instead of pressing Storm, Earth, and Fire, you'd press Weapons of Order, and it doesn't give you any damage, right? So that's the big difference. Storm, Earth, and Fire gave you damage amp, right? Gave you increased damage. Cool, thumbs up. This now essentially just reduces cooldowns of abilities when you press Black Up Kick, and it reduces the cooldown or reduces the chi cost of those abilities as well. So it's literally just Weapons of Order without the Storm, Earth, and Fire part. And this is going to be like essentially the big button that you play around, I think. It's going to be this and Zuin, but there's like a question of if you even take Zuin. I've seen going around. So maybe like Zuin's really far down now. If you look at like Zuin was up here, like below Storm, Earth, and Fire. He's now fucking at the bottom. Tiger's down bad. So yeah, Weapons of Order, big ability, new Storm, Earth, and Fire, cool. Just a press button, do damage. No, it'll influence gameplay, right? It's not like a press button, do damage. It's press button, influence chi cost, and influence cooldown, which comes back to their developer note where they want to keep, where is it? What they say, they want to primarily focus on removing conditional modifiers and making sure the base damage of spells feels impactful. So this doesn't really modify like actual damage. It modifies your chi cost and it modifies your being able to reduce the cooldown of your base abilities to do the damage of your base abilities. So that's why they've removed Storm, Earth, and Fire, besides it being a buggy mess. They don't like it. Rising Start. Rising Sun Kick damage increased by 15% and Critical Strike damage increased by 12%. They have moved this. It used to be down here. Does the exact same thing, which is interesting, right? Because it's quite far down in the talent tree to have the same stats. I've moved like all the way up here. Pretty useful. Probably take it for most situations. Meridian Strikes. So this is an interesting one. They moved this from the right hand of the tree to the left hand of the tree. I mean, generally speaking, you never take Meridian Strikes. It is an awful ability. I don't know. You probably still don't take Meridian Strikes. Like, previously it was in a talent node with Brawler's Intensity. Now they've removed that. Now it's a flat number that it reduces touch death by, but the damage of touch of death is increased the same. So I guess it's just a toss-up of, is touch of death actually valuable enough to have a reduced cooldown and deal more damage? Likelihood is just no, right? Meridian Strikes. I'd be surprised if you took this. It's probably like a this one and this one sort of thing, and then you go down here. Yeah, I don't know. Meridian Strikes is kind of a bad ability. Does it say the cooldown for Weapons of Order? Yeah, as Sia said, no, it doesn't. But yeah, on the alpha, if you they released the video for the midnight 30-minute video they released. They showed actual Windwalker gameplay. Surprisingly, never thought that would happen in a release launch video thing. But you could see the Weapon of Order had 2 stacks on it, so that's kind of cool. So I guess Weapons of Order basically it's literally Storm, Earth, and Fire essentially because it can stack up to 2. From the looks of things, 2 charges. So that's why I think it will play. I think it's literally just a Storm, Earth, and Fire without the damage amp and the clone bugginess. Is what they're going for, essentially. Crane Vortex, same as usual. Spinning crane kick damage increased by 1%? And its radius increased by 15%? Surely that's wrong, right? The radius thing's fine, but 1%? That number seems extremely low. Yeah, that's what... Okay. Okay, I doubt it will be increased by 1%. That is a crazy low number. Probably just a issue, bug sort of thing, but fine. Probably still take this when you're going AoE, right? Crane Vortex, pretty useful. Radius increase. You probably still take this in single target if spinning crane kick's good enough for single target. Potentially it's not. We'll have to see. Jade Ignition. We all know about this bad boy. Every time you Fist of Fury, you get a stack of Chi Energy. It's in the exact same place pretty much. And then when you spinning crane kick afterwards, it explodes and does damage. Decent for AoE. Pretty bad for single target. Nothing really changed here. It's on the side, so it's not really a you have to take sort of thing. So that's fine. So we're getting some new talents here. Finally, well, I suppose we talked about Weapons of Order, but we're actually going to talk about some new ones, and it's a choice node. It's called Cyclone's Drift and Crashing Fists. So, Cyclone's Drift, you gain 10% more haste from all sources of haste. Okay. That sounds really strong on paper. 10% more haste from all sources of haste. Wow. Okay. And Crashing Fist, the duration of Fist of Fury is increased by 1 second. I mean... if I was to choose which talent I'd want to take right now, I probably would always take the gain 10% more haste from all sources of haste than increase Fist of Fury's duration. I suppose with Crashing Fists, it sounds like what they're trying to do is they're trying to... Because obviously in Fist of Fury, it does a certain amount of ticks, right? So I guess with an increased cast time, you'll do more hits with Fist of Fury, and they want it to be the cornerstone ability of Windwalker, so they want it to be a heavy hitter. So I guess, Fist of Fury also allows you to gain more energy whilst it's channeling, right? Never forget that you still gain energy whilst it's channeling. So if Fist of Fury lasts for a while, you're still gaining resources for when you're out of Fist of Fury. But on paper, 10% more haste from all sources of haste sounds really good. I'd be shocked if you took Crashing Fists. And I wonder how that synergizes with a harmonic combo. Surely you can't take both of them at this... Do you know how troll that would be, right? You take Crashing Fist, which increased the duration of Fist of Fury by 1 second, and then you take Harmonic Combo, which reduces its cost by 1%. Now we're gaming. Oh, man. That'd be so fun. You just take both of those, it literally just cancels out the talent. What would it... Okay. Potentially there's... I suppose if you ever take Harmonic Combo, you're never taking Crashing Fists, because that literally... Or maybe you do. Okay, hold on, hear me out. No, I'm crazy. Or am I? You take Crashing Fists, it increases the duration by 1 second, then you combo it with Harmonic Combo to make it still 3.5 seconds, but it does 10% increased damage. Okay, now I've thought about it, that could actually synergize. Because basically, Harmonic Combo increases damage of Fist of Fury, but it has the downside of... Oh no, it's Chi cost. I'm so cooked. Oh, if only I could read. I should read before I talk. But I still think they might synergize together. Because I said Crashing Fist will still increase the duration of Fist of Fury, but it'll have more ticks of damage. With Momentum Boost, every tick of damage has 10% more damage each time it ticks, right? So it's still going to hit harder at the end. And then you take Harmonic Combo, and it reduces the cooldown of Fist... reduces the damage, though. Reduces the damage, but for a longer channel. I don't think these synergize as well. I've changed my mind. This sucks. Crashing Fist sucks. Go Cyclone's Drift. Crashing Fist is made really strong with the synergies. Yeah, but 10% more haste from all sources of haste sounds like such a tough thing to give up. Let the Sims decide. Either way, it's interesting. Because when you think about it this way, right? When you think about talents and stuff like that, you think that they reduce cooldowns of abilities. It feels really weird to have a talent that says increases the duration of something, right? You'd inherently think that sounds awful. But actually, with Fist of Fury being what they want to be like the cornerstone, your big hitter, everything kind of works around Fist of Fury, and that's where all the damage comes from. Maybe there's good synergy here. Let's look at the other talent, see what we got. Drinking Horn cover, Spiritual Focus. So these previously worked with Storm, Earth, and Fire. They've changed it for Weapons of Order. Drinking Horn cover extends the duration of Weapons of Order by 5 seconds. So this is actually different to the Storm, Earth, and Fire one. The Storm, Earth, and Fire one wasn't a set time. It instead was 0.25 seconds for every chi you spend. But usually you manage to get it up to about 5 seconds, right? Your Storm, Earth, and Fire was usually about 20 seconds instead of 15. So now, kind of like what they did with Zuin's Bond, right? Where Zuin's Bond was almost 30 seconds, but usually wasn't 30 seconds, right? They changed that so it was a flat 30. They've changed Drinking Horn cover so it's a flat 5. I think that's fine, because sometimes it could just not go right, or sometimes like you wouldn't get like the extra time. Maybe you had to like dodge a mechanic or something, and you didn't spend as much chi. Your Storm, Earth, and Fire was shorter, just a flat 5 seconds, probably fine, good, healthy. Spiritual Focus reduces the cooldown by 20. This also changed, right? Spiritual Focus was also the same as Drinking Horn cover, right? It reduced it by 0.5 seconds for every 2 chi you spent. So this is also another flat one. 20 seconds. 20 seconds is about right. I'd say you could almost... you'd have to be constantly in combat, but I think you could almost get nearer to having... No, 20 seconds sounds alright. I suppose if you pair it with the Shadow Pan one, then it's more like a minute cooldown. I think Spiritual Focus will feel better when you're outside of combat, which is usually when you run Spiritual Focus right in a dungeon. You don't really run Spiritual Focus in Raid at the moment anyway. But like Spiritual Focus felt a bit bad in between pack pulls because you weren't getting any reduced cooldown. Now that it's a flat 20 seconds, Weapons Order then becomes, let's say, 70 seconds instead of 90. I think that's fine. I think making these actual flat durations is probably good. Probably healthy. It means that it loses the variance, and by losing the variance, it means that you have a better understanding of exactly how long something's going to last, which I think is fine. I think it plays better, so this is fine. Likely sort of thing that you probably take Drinking on cover for Raid, Spiritual Focus for I don't know. Let the sim decide, but essentially it works the same. So, new one, Obsidian Spiral. During Weapons of Order, Blackout Kick generates 1 chi. I mean, this is basically Energy Burst, right? Do we still have Energy Burst? Where's Energy Burst? Oh, here. That's weird that they put them near each other. They're not connected. I suppose... Does that work counterintuitively? Not really. I guess it's fine. Because like during Weapons of Order, you're using Blackout Kick to essentially reduce the cooldown of like your Fist of Fury and Rising Sun Kick, right? That's like the idea. And I suppose maybe Slicing Winds if you're taking it. We'll get to that in a sec. I suppose then being able to then use Blackout Kick to reduce the cooldown of those abilities, give you a chi back. It might play out alright. It could be useful, but if we're thinking already about like, I suppose you'd use it as because usually what you use now is you use Tiger Palm, right? You Tiger Palm to gain back the chi, but usually you'd never really had to. Like you'd have to Tiger Palm maybe once during a Storm, Earth, and Fire or something, like realistically, to get enough chi to keep sending abilities. Maybe it's alright. Maybe it just becomes that like if you take this instead of Tiger Palm and Blackout Kicks your filler, and it does synergize well with it. I think it's fine. I think you probably would take this. You just wouldn't Tiger Palm, right? Like during Weapons of Order, it feels like it would be bad to Tiger Palm then. Blackout Kick plus Rising Sun Kick spam and Weapons of Order. Yeah, probably Weapons of Order, Blackout Kick, Rising Sun Kick, Fist of Fury spam, and then. So I suppose like the downside, like when you're playing Conduit, right, you always hated to send out a Storm Earth and Fire and then have the Tiger Palm during it. It always felt awful, right? Like because you never wanted to in your Gale Force and your Heart of the Jade Serpent window, Tiger Palming felt horrendous to do. But if you Blackout Kick, which I guess in Season 3 sucks anyway because you don't want to Blackout Kick, but let's go back to Season 2. When Blackout Kick was fine, that would actually be good. Because that means you don't have to Tiger Palm, which is basically no damage. Blackout Kick actually does damage, and then it generates chi and it drops chi, reduces cooldown. Yeah, actually, I like that. I think that kind of works now that I've thought it out. You probably would always take this then, and then yeah, Blackout Kick spammer. Combo Breaker. You have an 8% chance when you Tiger Palm to cause your next Blackout Kick to cost no chi within 15 seconds. They've got a lot of Blackout Kick chi energy manipulation shit going on here. Let me reread this. 8% chance when you Tiger Palm to cause your next Blackout Kick to cost no chi within 15... This was already a thing. Am I crazy? It wasn't called Combo Breaker, though. Yeah, okay, right. Okay, it was a thing. I'm not crazy. Okay, so it's just like Sharp Reflexes then, where they've taken something that was passive and they put it into our talent tree to pad it out. You are probably going to have to take this because you are probably going to have to take Inner Peace at the start of the expansion. But inherently, it's not a bad thing, right? It's just a passive has now become a talent, which has now become a passive, which is fine, I guess. Sure, why not? Yeah, it is what it is. We already have it. Fine, talent now. Okay, next talent tab. So this one confused me, and I'm still not sure what this means. I don't know if anyone understands this, but spreading chi has a chance to make your next spinning crane kick cost no chi. Do they mean spending? And they because I read this last night and I was like, what does spreading chi mean? Am I crazy? Like, it's definitely a right. Okay, because I read this and then I was like looking through the talents and I was like, is there something new that spreads chi? What the fuck does this mean? Spreading cheeks. Oh man, yeah. Okay, so it must just mean it must just be spending chi has a chance to make your next spinning crank hit cost no chi, which is the same as how Dance of the Chi-Ji works now, but it's lost the damage increase, and they've worded it differently as well. It's previously said it was free, now it just says costs no chi, but the damage is gone. That's interesting. So no more damage on Dance of the Chi-Ji. It's just a free spinning crane kick proc. Okay. That's gonna be weird because usually, like a lot of the times, like in single target is the big one, right? Maybe this changes things because I think. See, I was a big fan of pressing spinning crane kick in single target. A lot of people don't like it or felt like it felt unnatural to do it. I kind of liked having spinning crane kick in the rotation, but it was only in the single target rotation because it just did so much damage, right? And you'd only press it with Dance of the Chi-Ji. The 200% was big enough. They gave spinning crane kick 80% increased baseline damage. Oh, okay. It's probably worthwhile going through these quickly. So spinning crane kick increased by 80%. Okay, that's fine. I guess that's fine. I mean, I'll take any damage increase. Sure, why not? Fist of Fury increased by 30%. Also pretty good. Just more damage to Fist of Fury. They want it to be impactful. Sure. Rising Sun Kick increased by 30%. Cool. No damage nerfs. We like those. Okay, so that's just... So spinning crane kick would naturally just do more damage. But I guess it makes Dance of the Chi-Ji less valuable, maybe. In single target, I think you'd still take it in AoE, right? Because you're spinning crane kicking, whatever. But maybe there's a world now where in next expansion they're like, all right, it's a little bit unhealthy for these Windwalkers to be spinning crane kicking in a single target encounter and it doing a ton of damage, right? So potentially there's a world where they're just like, right, we think we don't want them doing that anymore. It's stupid. Which it is technically. It is stupid, right? We shouldn't really be casting like AoE ability in single target and it doing a hell of a lot of damage. So I think that's maybe fine. Shadowboxing treads, increased blackout kick damage, strikes an additional 2 targets, same as usual. Likely you always take this for AoE situations. Probably nothing really changes there. That's fine. So now the big one. Well, one of the big ones. They've made Strike of the Windlord and Whirling Dragon Punch a choice node. So previously, Strike of the Windlord was down here. Nope, that's Slicing Winds. Previously, Strike of the Windlord... Wait, I'm cooked. Previously, Strike of the Windlord was up here, and Slicing Winds was over here. Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm going to start all this again. Can we rewind? Everybody just close your ears, pretend you didn't hear anything I said. Strike of the Windlord and Whirling Dragon Punch are now a choice node. Whirling Dragon Punch is over here. Strike of the Windlord is over here. Yeah, okay, I got it right. So, it's an interesting one. Because a lot of the time, especially with like Conduit, right, you're taking both of these. You take Strike and you take Whirling Dragon Punch and you take them together. Now you're going to only have a choice. So I guess technically you lose a button, which is kind of sad. I don't like losing buttons. It makes things a little bit more simplistic. But they are a choice node, so you're going to have to choose. Do you want Strike of the Windlord or do you want Whirling Dragon Punch? However, Strike of the Windlord no longer has Gale Force, so why would I take it for Shadow Pam? Why would I take it for Conduit? True, actually, why would I take this? Doesn't baseline Strike of the Windlord just suck? Isn't it like one of our worst abilities? Maybe they'll fix it. Maybe the damage will be fixed and it will just do good stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty sure baseline Strike of the Windlord is awful. It's the stuff that was the thing with Strike of the Windlord, like in the War Within, it was always the stuff that was attached to Strike of the Windlord that was useful, and it was genuinely Gale Force, right? Gale Force was just strong, yeah, and that was where all your damage from Strike of the Windlord actually came from. But they removed that, so maybe there's a world where you just don't take Strike of the Windlord and you take Whirling Dragon Punch instead. Because a little bit of a spoiler alert, if we look at Conduit over here, Heart of the Jade Serpent, where have they hidden it now? They've moved it somewhere different. Heart of the Jade Serpent works either by using Strike of the Windlord or Whirling Dragon Punch. So previously it was just Strike of the Windlord, but now you can activate Heart of the Jade Serpent with a Whirling Dragon Punch. Is that just going to be stronger? On top of that, holy shit, okay, this is actually really cool. I didn't realize it did this. So now Rushing Jade Wind is attached to both of these abilities, and Communion with Wind is also attached to both of these abilities. Surely you're just not going to take Strike of the Windlord, right? Strike just sucks. Oh, and you can... No, okay. I'm not sure if the Whirling Dragon Punch... What I'm looking at now is it says only usable while both Fist of Fury and Rising Sun Kick are on cooldown. I'm not sure if that's just for Whirling Dragon Punch or for both. Probably just for Whirling Dragon Punch. It's just that it's at the very bottom, but I imagine it's just Whirling Dragon Punch, right? They probably haven't made Strike of the Windlord do that. That'd be demonic. Yeah, as it stands now, you are going to take Whirling Dragon Punch 100%. Strike of the Windlord sucks. It is baseline just a bad ability. Whirling Dragon Punch just does it better. So, but I'm really glad that they have made it so that Conduit actually... What am I looking at? I'm over here. I'm really glad they made it so it's not just Strike of the Windlord that activates Heart of the Jade Serpent. They made it so Whirling Dragon Punch does it as well. That's really cool. So it gives you the option. So that's actually... That gives you choices. What do we like? We like choices. We like being able to make impactful decisions that change how we play the game. Except now you're always going to take Whirling Dragon Punch unless they buff the numbers of Strike of the Windlord because it's just a bad ability. But yeah, no, that's cool. The only downside to this is you can't take both of them now. But is that a bad thing? Maybe not, because I think Strike of the Windlord is just a bad ability without Gale Force. So, fine. I don't like the new changes. I miss Storm, Earth, and Fire and Lightning. I'm gonna miss Lightning. I'm gonna miss Storm, Earth, and Fire in the sense that I really enjoy the what's it called? It's like the character feel You know, well, I don't even know what word I'm looking for here. Just the class fantasy of it. I enjoyed my clones. They've been a staple since Warcraft 3, but I hate how buggy there are. Like, I read that article that was posted the other month where Windwalkers are losing about 7% damage from Storm, Earth, and Fire. And, like, even if the damage alone doesn't matter, like, it's true where it talks about things like the clones don't face the direction you want them to face. They don't manipulate damage correctly on other talents and abilities. There's just many issues with them. And they cannot be the issues just can't be fixed, otherwise they would have fixed them, right? They're just issues. So I'm not sad to see it go in that regard. I just think it's too buggy to keep it in. But I would have liked, like, maybe like a glyph or something. Like, they're not gonna do it, but just to, like, you pop weapons of order and you get your little boys out. Like, just give them the models. Change my guy again. That'd be cool, just for the thematic thing of it. But they won't do that. Energy Burst, same as before. Consume Blackout Kick. You have a 100% chance to gain 1 chi. Probably going to be taken, especially at the start of a tier. As we said, resource management is pretty important. It's interesting that they put all of the resource management stuff in one area. I kind of like that, because previously you have them kind of all over the place. You have Ascension up here, you have Inner Peace over here, you have, Energy Burst over here. But now they've kind of like they've actually, I think they put some thought into this tree a little bit, at least in this regard, because you've got Ascension up here, and then I suppose Glory of Dawn as well. We can include that, and then that goes down into Combo Breaker. You've then got Energy Burst and Inner Peace over here, so they've kind of put all of your resource manipulation in one area, which is good. It's like that. It's probably a smart thing. The only downside to that maybe is that you have to take energy resources. Like, if we're playing Devil's Advocate, you have to take, Combo Breaker to get to Inner Peace. But I guess you don't have to take Energy Burst. Maybe this is a Inner Peace or Energy Burst angle, which was always the argument, to be honest, actually. You never took them together. Even in Season 1, you didn't take them together. You took Inner Peace. So at least they're a choice thing now. Yeah, I like this. I'm a fan of this. I like this. Good. Thumbs up that they've added all this together. But yeah, essentially it's all the same things, right? It's all the Inner Peace is the same, Energy Burst is the same. Pick your poison. I wish Fist of Fury summoned the Earth Spirit, Crane Kick summoned the Storm Earth Spirit, and Rising Sun Kick summoned the Fire Spirit. It would be cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind them just adding some sort of flavor to it that allows you to summon your boys again. But I imagine that's what they're trying to do with this, like, Shadow Pan clone thing. I think it'll be fine. I think at the end of the day, people will just be happy that they're actually doing the damage they're expecting to doing, rather than your clones. Like, if you're out of the know and stuff, if you fixate your clones and then that target dies, your clones can sometimes just bug out and not start attacking or doing anything else, right? And the big issue there is that if you don't know you have to refixate, and then you lose all your damage, right? It doesn't happen all the time, but it's just things like that shouldn't be a thing. Interestingly, they put memories in the monastery here. Memories in the monastery we never took. Right? Like, memories in the monastery down here. There was like one point maybe at the start of season 3 where the Sims showed that it might be okay. How they changed it? They've changed it a bit. Its chance to activate Blackout Kick is increased by 25%, and its damage and Tiger Harm's damage is increased by 15%. What was it before? It was a bit weird before, wasn't it? Yeah, it was to do with consuming teachings in the monastery. It granted you haste for 5 seconds equal to the amount of stacks you consumed. Okay, so they have actually changed it. Does it sound good, though? These are very big questions. I think it's still shit. Like, Tiger Palm damage, you just don't care about, really, right? Like, Tiger Palm damage is okay, but it's never like a massive, especially this low down in the tree, right? And this low down in the tree, this feels like kind of bad. And then the issue with Tiger Palm chance to activate Blackout Kick is that it did this already, right? It was 25%, it did this already, and it was still not taken, even with the extra caveat that increased haste. And it's on top of all of this other like new energy regeneration stuff that we have, I suppose. Well, I say new, but it's all together in this area. I feel like maybe you skip this and you just don't take Memory of the Monastery, and then you'd maybe go Jade Firestorm if you had to take it there, or you'd go down the middle to get to Slicing Winds. Because realistically, you're going to probably take Rushing Jade Wind or Communion with the Wind, right? Because these are useful abilities and they open up trees. Or maybe even just Rushing Jade Wind you'd take if you wanted to go Slicing Winds. I don't know. I just think it's a bad ability. Willing to be proven wrong, but I feel like it just got weaker. And it was not strong enough already to be taken, so why would a weaker version of it be taken? Eh. So, moving on now, we have two new abilities, which is kind of cool. Below Strike of the Windlord and Whirling Dragon Punch, so you have to take... Obviously, you take these nodes, right? You're taking Weapons of Order, you're taking Strike, Whirling, and then below this you have Revolving Whirl and Echo Technique. Well, I suppose Revolving Whirl, we all know it's not new. But Echo Technique is new. And I'll be honest, Echo Technique is awful. Basically, Revolving Whirl is when you cast Strike and Whirling Dragon Punch, and it gives you a 100% chance to activate Dance of the Chi-Ji, which is not as strong as it used to be, because remember, Dance of the Chi-Ji now doesn't have the 200% increased damage, so kind of a bit weaker now. But Echo Technique is just horrendous, right? Casting Strike of the Windlord and Whirling Dragon Punch grants Blackout Kick effect. Like, I just think that sounds atrocious, no? Like, like the Blackout Kick effect is not that strong. I suppose if you take some other talents here that... I don't even know. I'm coping right now. I don't think you'd ever take Echo Technique. You'd probably take Revolving Whirl here. Maybe in pure single target. The big issue here is that it opens up Zuin, right? So there's no other way to get to Zuin other than taking one of these two. My brain just instantly tells me Revolving Whirl is probably the likely one that you take. Maybe Echo Technique might be potentially if we're really coping. But both, I think Revolving Whirl's got weaker. Even though you get the free Dance of the Chi-Ji, Dance of the Chi-Ji just isn't as strong as it used to be. It'll still be okay in AoE, I think, but in single target, you probably wouldn't even want to take that, which means you'd be forced to take Echo Technique, which sucks. I'm not a fan of this node, actually. I don't like its placement. I feel like... I don't know. I feel like Zuin should be here. Like, they should switch Zuin for this one, and then potentially have, like, Zuin's Bond over here, and then have this weird Echo Technique thing at the bottom, but I don't think it's strong enough to be at the bottom. I just don't like how you're locked into this choice, especially when Revolving Whirl's weaker and Echo Technique sounds just shit, let's be real. Okay, not a fan of this. Maybe make it better. I don't know. Fix it, Blizzard, thanks. Zuin should be both of them. You are probably right. Like, it's strange that they moved Zuin all the way down to the bottom. Like, I think there's potentially even a world where you just don't take Zuin, maybe. It's hard to say you don't take Zuin, though, right? Like, that's kind of crazy. But I feel... I feel like there has to be another way to get to him. I think maybe this is fine if Zuin's just not here. Because being forced to take this feels bad. We'll see. We'll see. But this is maybe the one talent I'm not too happy about. That's kind of... Echo Techniques, at least, just needs its effect completely changing. Granting a Blackout Kick effect is horrendous. Okay. Communion with the Wind. I think this will always be taken. Actually, there's maybe a chance it won't be taken with Whirling Dragon Punch. Definitely with Strike of the Windlord, right? It reduces the cooldown 5% and damage increase. Actually, damage increase. You're probably always taking Communion. But it's the same as it is in the War Within, except it's now moved. It used to be over down in the bottom right-hand corner, and now it's a bit more central. So I think that's good. Is Invoker's Delight still a thing? No, they moved it. It's gone. They removed Invoker's Delight, which means that now... So that's another thing, right? So Zuin was useful because it, like, you know, did extra damage based on the damage you're doing, but you also got a big haste buff, right? It's like 20%, right? Invoker's Delight that was over here. 15% for 20 seconds, so it lasted the entire time. Nice big haste buff. It felt really good. It allowed you to cast all your abilities, nice energy regen, yada yada yada. So Zuin's gonna feel weaker. Like it will still reflect and well not reflect, it will still amplify like damage do and put extra damage in, based on the damage you're doing. But it's gonna feel weaker. It's not gonna feel like a very strong button to press. Like I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but like when you press Zuin, you basically got a small lust, right? The small lust is gone, and that inherently kind of makes it weaker because it was a very kind of strong part of Invoke Zuin, right? Just the fact you got a mini lust every time. So that's kind of bad, and that's why, like I'm saying, like there's maybe a world where you don't even take this anymore. Um, Not for definite, right? But I feel like that was a big impact of it. Zuin's Bond's still a thing. Zen's Bond, as they got written here. My boy Zen. Works the exact same way. What else we got? Storm Spirit Strike. So this is another new one, and it comes down from the left-hand tree node. Casting Rising Sun Kick summons a Storm Spirit. Okay, so we got our clone back. Okay. Summons a Storm Spirit to focus a secondary target for 20 seconds, which will mimic your Blackout Kicks, Tiger Palms, and Rising Sun Kicks that do not also strike the target for 15 seconds of normal damage. For 15% of normal damage. So, a lot of questions around this one. Is it controllable? How does it operate in single target? Is it using the same code as Storm, Earth, and Fire? Is it actually strong? Because it only mimics Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm, and Rising Sun Kick, which sounds awful, right? This sounds horrible. This actually sounds awful. Because the strength of Storm, Earth, and Fire was that it, mimicked like Fist of Fury, mimicked pretty much all your abilities basically, bar a few. Mimicking Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm, and Rising Sun Kick, but also I can't see the cooldown on this. Because like, what's the internal cooldown? Because just from reading it, it sounds like it's every Rising Sun Kick summons a Storm Spirit, right? Which is obviously not going to be the case. Otherwise, you'd be Rising Sun Kicking like a demon and summoning a million Storm Spirits. Unless that is the case, in which case this is an absurdly broken talent. Because then you'd have so many boys. You can only have one spirit at the time. Okay, this talent sucks. Don't take it. No, it probably doesn't suck, but I'd be surprised if it's strong enough. And there are other ways to get to talents below us as well, right? Which is always something to take into account when looking at talents. Like, is there another way to get to it? It's why, like, I don't like Revolving Whirl and Echo Technique, because it's the only way to get to Invoke Zuin. But you can get to below this without Storm Spirit Strikes. I don't know. I think if it mimicked Fist of Fury as well, maybe useful. But Tiger Palm's useless. Blackout Kick's okay, I suppose. It'll do some damage, and Rising Sun Kick as well. But I don't know. It could be okay, but I'm more concerned about its functionality, right? Like, how does it work on a single target fight? It says it focuses a secondary target. Is it useless in single target? It just won't spawn. In which case, what's the point? And an AoE, is replicating Blackout Kicks, Tiger Palms, and Rising Sun Kicks more valuable than just having another AoE ability that's just stronger? Maybe. To be confirmed if this is good or not, but you'll still have a clone, and it's the Storm Spirit. Yahoo! You still get your blue boy. Sequence strikes, 100% chance to gain Blackout Kick after consuming Dance of the Chi-Ji, or Dinas? Dinas of Chi-Ji? This is the same as it was, Sequence strikes. You took this, well, you mean you still take it now, it's over here, isn't it? You take it if you're going into Last Empress Capacitor, or even if you're not, you could take it for Whirling Dragon Punch. You don't usually, though. Probably taken, because you have to take it to get to this ability down here, so it really depends on if Rushing Wind Kick's good, but we'll go over Rushing Wind Kick in a sec. But yeah, Sequence Strikes hasn't changed. I think this is fine. But it's a forced talent, right? Like, it's forced talents based on if Rushing Wind Kick's good. If Rushing Wind Kick's bad, you probably don't take this. They're honestly killing what makes Windwalker fun. I just think they're taking a little. I think they're simplifying it, but I think they're simplifying a lot of classes at the moment. Like if you look at healing, right? Look at like the healing post. They're like super simplifying healing, which is crazy to me. Um, so yeah, I think they're just trying to make everything a little bit simpler. And I don't know if that's a result of the fact that they're removing add-ons and weak auras. They're trying to make the game not as difficult. Otherwise, good luck. Good luck in your dungeons and raid, bozos. I don't know. I still think like there's a lot of things that are really cool here. I think Weapons of Order is kind of cool. It's literally ordered elements, but I think that's cool. I like the fact that where is it? Looking for talents he actually thinks are cool. Challenge impossible. I like the idea of Crashing Fist and Cyclone Drift. I think this has potential to be like something quite interesting. It'll either be super passive with Cyclone's Drift, or it'll be really cool with Crashing Fist, where you're actually manipulating Fist of Fury duration to do more damage with it. So that's kind of interesting and has potential. Apex talents are cool, but we'll cover them in a sec. I like the changes to Drinking Horn cover, Spiritual Focus. They're good. Standardized the time is useful. Making this a talent no choice is interesting, but also good because it allows Conduit to actually not have to take Strike of the Windlord, which is a bad ability now, realistically. Awful ability. Well, then Dragon Punch good, so that's kind of cool. But not being able to take both of them kind of reduces buttons. And as a Windwalker, I've never really thought that we have that many buttons to begin with. Like we have a few, but removing one button kind of sad, I guess. So yeah, let's look at Rushing Wind Kick. So after consuming the Blackout Kick effect, Rising Sun Kick has a 40% chance to become Rushing Wind Kick. So this is where all of these things that talk about Memory of the Monastery now maybe becomes good, because Tiger Palm has a chance to activate Blackout Kick effect. Suddenly, like, these things start looking like they synergize with each other, right? Ooh, this gives you a new ability when you consume Blackout Kick effect. How do we get more Blackout Kick effects? Oh, Memory of the Monastery, sequence strikes, that sort of jazz. But it all hinges on how good a mobility Rushing Wind Kick is. And it basically kicks up a powerful gust of wind, dealing damage in a cone to enemies in front of you, split evenly. And then it's increased by 6% for each target hit, up to 30%, so 5 targets, classic Windwalker. I think this ability hinges on the split evenly. Nothing good ever comes from split evenly damage, because it means it has no scaling. Like, it does no increase, like, I guess it does more damage increased, like, up to 5 targets. But once you surpass 5 targets, this is actually like a hard cap 5 target ability, right? Because it's split damage. So it's strongest at 5 targets, but then it does no more damage than it would have done, if that makes sense. And that is bad. Because we have other abilities like that have, like, quotation marks. They'll, max out their damage at 5 targets, but they still do damage to more than 5 targets, right? Like, if an ability has, like, a 5 target, that's when it does its most damage. It still does more damage to 20 targets because it still hits them. It's just reduced damage. This doesn't have reduced damage. This is a split damage, which means it is hard caps at 5. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sia, but I think I'm correct, right? So yeah, I don't know. I think the split evenly sounds awful, and I think that kills this talent, right? um, remove Rushing Wind Kick, make Shadowbox and Tread hit 5 targets, find other ways to do AoE on more than 5 targets. Yeah, I don't know. I think if it's not split evenly, I think this is cool. And then it makes things interesting. Because what they're trying to do here is they're actually trying to make the Blackout Kick effects have some usefulness and intrigue to it, and actually have something to play around. Because right now, it's like a chi generator, right? And there's not much more to it than that. But now if you're playing around consuming it, because like sometimes you'd be sat at 2 stacks, but you'd have other higher prior abilities to press, and it just wasn't like always worth pressing it. Now it's almost like you never want to overstack this. It's so vital to allow yourself to get Rushing Wind Kick. Oh my god, we can use Memory of the Monastery to get more Blackout Kick effects. Oh my god, it all synergizes. But if Rushing Wind Kick sucks, who cares? Right? I think they have to remove the split evenly. Just do the classic Windwalker thing, right? Where it's like reduced damage past 5 targets, and then maybe it's good. I don't know why they've split it evenly. I feel like this always is bad. So yeah, right now, this is bad, but I actually think it's kind of a cool ability. I don't like the cone aspects of it. I feel like unless it's really clear how big the cone is, yeah, like Fist of Fury. I have so many like people like wondering what is the cone of Fist of Fury. It's always not exactly what it looks like. What is the cone of Rushing Wind Kick going to look like? Well, good luck. Hopefully it visualized really well, but we'll see. Is this the Mistweaver ability, by the way? It's just the Mistweaver one um, that they have at the moment, the healing. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I think this needs more work, but I think it's potentially good. I'd kind of like it if it was like an AoE thing, but I mean, cone is pretty standard Windwalker, right? So that's fine. But I think like for whatever they're trying to do here with all these blackout kick effect things, this has to be good enough for it to work. Otherwise, you're not taking memory, you're not taking sequence strikes. You know what I mean? You're just dropping a lot of these things. So we'll see what they do with this. Has potential, but I think they probably want you to take this. So make it good. Thank you, Blizzard. Zuin's Battle Gear. Rising Sun. They've changed this, right? Rising Sun kicks critical strikes reduce the cooldown of Fist of Fury by 4 seconds. The critical strike chance of Rising Sun kick is increased by 20%. Interesting. That's good, no? Am I missing? Oh, no, that's not good. Okay, so previously what Zone's Battle Gear did is the first part stays the same, right? When you crit Rising Sun kick, cooldown of Fist of Fury, 4 seconds, fine, that's stayed the same. The difference is that previously Fist of Fury ends, crit strike chance of Rising Sun kick increased by 40% for 5 seconds. So that was always like kind of useful to Rising Sun kick after a Fist of Fury because then it reduces the cooldown of Fist of Fury and it also does more crit damage. Yay, nice, we like that. They've changed it so it now no longer works with Fist of Fury in the sense that after Fist of Fury, that doesn't give it the crit anymore. It's now a baseline crit, but it's lost 20%, so it's only increased by 20%. Which means that I suppose the big difference here is that if you Rising Sun Kick just after a Fist of Fury, its crit strike chance is lower. But if you Rising Sun Kick past 5 seconds after a Fist of Fury, your crit strike is higher for Rising Sun Kick, right? So I guess that's the trade-off. I don't know how good that is. It probably is good. The uptime of ZBG was never 50%, so it should be net positive. We like net positive. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking, right? Like, because obviously you still Rising Sun Kick, like, because Fist of Fury has a long cooldown, right? So you're Rising Sun Kicking to get the cooldown reduced, but all those Rising Sun Kicks don't come like 4 seconds after Zuin or after Fist of Fury. They come maybe 1 second, 8 seconds, 13 seconds, you know? And then those ones don't have the crit strike. So yeah, I think that's probably fine. Interesting place to put it. Where was it previously? Yeah, down the middle. It was all tied to Zuin, right? Because obviously it's called Zuin's Battle Gear. Has nothing to do with Zuin, but it's still called Zuin's Battle Gear. They moved it down this side, and the only other way to get to it is Sequence Strikes, which, as I've said before, I think literally hinges on Rushing Wind Kick being good, or Communion with the Wind, which I think you take regardless. Good ability. So I think you'll always be able to get to Zuin's Battle Gear without a hassle. And Storm Spirit Strikes, I suppose, but as I said, I don't know if I'm a fan of this. Numbers have to be seen on this and how it operates and if it's controllable. There's so many questions on this ability if it's actually going to be good. So yeah, ZBG. I think that's fine. Thunder Fist. So I was instantly about to say you're never taking this. Because my inherent thought was Strike of the Windlord. Thunder Fist isn't actually that bad. It helps a little bit with prio target damage. You do take it in season 3, and now it works with Whirling Dragon Punch as well, right? You gain stacks, and then you do more damage to that, one target that you're hitting with melee hits, which might be useful if you're taking, dual threat. I don't know. It might be okay. Once again, though, it's attached to Revolving Whirl Echo Technique, which, as I said, I'm not a fan of. Maybe Echo Technique's actually okay if it operates with Rushing Wind Kick. Yeah, I suppose Echo Technique, I mean, I trashed on it a little bit. That's because I hadn't seen the synergy with Rushing Wind Kick, right? Because obviously now you could get the Blackout Kick effect, so now that operates with, Memory of the Monastery, Sequence Strikes, and actually these 4 abilities all synergize together. but that really hinges on how strong this is. Thunder Fist, same as it was before, right? Just in a different spot. It's okay. It's just a talent, right? It's mid. Invoke Zuin, the White Tiger. So we summon an FSD of Zuin. I'm not going to read this. We all know what Zuin does. The big difference here is just how low it is. It's so low down, and it's in a weird spot. I mean, it is down the middle. And realistically, what's going to happen is you are just going to end up taking every single ability down the middle, right? It's kind of how our tree's designed. But the issue with Zuin, as I've said, is there's no Invoker's Delight. You don't get your mini Lust. Is Zuin good enough to still replicate the damage that you do, like a percentage of the damage that you do without the mini Lust? Or did we care more about the mini Lust? I'd argue that we cared a bit more about the mini Lust, right? Sure, the ETL damage was useful, yeah, but if you're in a Shadowpan Flurry Strike window, do you care more about having Zuin replicating some of that damage, or do you care more about having the haste, which gives you the energy regen to allow you to send out more Flurry Strikes? I care more about the haste that allows me to, you know what I mean? So, it's okay, but I feel like Invoker's Delight was so big for Zuin. You're probably still taking it, right? Let's be real. Like, there's a world where you don't take it, but there's a world where, yeah, you probably are just still taking this regardless, right? Because it's your boy. But I feel like you'll definitely miss ID, and it'll be noticeably different. It won't feel like as big as an ability anymore. Like, it will still be like your 1 minute, 32 minute, pair it with Weapons of Order, and then, like, just how it is with Storm, Earth, and Fire. But the burst window won't be as strong because you don't have the haste. So it won't feel as impactful. But still Zuin, still works the same. Knowledge of the Broken Temple. This is the same thing, right? Strike of the Wind Lord, Whirl and Dragon Punch against 4 stacks of Teaching of the Monastery. Teaching of the Monastery can now stack up to 8 times. So I think the big thing here is actually that it's not at the very bottom, and it doesn't share a node with Revolving Whirl. And Dance of the Chiji is weaker. I think there's a world where you may take this. In pure single target, right? I don't think you take it in AoE, because Teaching of the Monastery wasn't as strong in AoE, and you probably want to go more spinning crane kick focused things. And it doesn't share the node with. But I think the big thing is it doesn't share the node of Revolving Whirl. And that was like the big trade-off, right? It's why you haven't taken Knowledge of the Broken Temple for 2 tiers. Because, you know, Revolving Whirl was just stronger, right? Getting your free Dance of the Chiji that does absurd damage was just a no-brainer. The fact that they've removed them, like they've made it node or choice nodeless, is kind of good, no? I think potentially taken in single target might actually be useful again, because it was good in Season 1. Like, on single target bosses, you took Knowledge of the Broken Temple and it was strong. It was useful. I remember you took it on Sikrin, and you took it on Nexus Princess Kaiveza, and it was good time. And it's not choice note, yeah, as I've said a few times, not choice note Revolving Whirl. And even if it was, I actually think the argument could be made that it would be more of a closer choice now, because I don't think Dance of the Chiji is as powerful. I mean, obviously a free spinning crane kick's good, but a free spinning crane kick that doesn't do 200% more damage isn't as good. But probably always taken for pure single target. I'd be surprised if not. Slicing Winds, everybody's favorite ability. You replace his Flying Serpent Kick still. Fine, whatever. I think it's the same. Wait. Does that say hold to increase lunge damage? No, they're fucking not, are they? No, that's a typo, right? Hold to increase lunge damage. No, they've got to be joking with that, because that's troll. It's still distance and alpha. Right, okay. We've got to pray that this isn't hold to increase lunge damage, because that just makes this a horrible ability. Can you imagine, right? To do damage with Slicing Winds, you have to hold it for like 4 seconds or whatever, fly across the map away from all your targets, but dash through them, and then have to roll back, sadly, to, like, it just, they won't. It's a mistype, I promise. That's crazy, they won't do that. Okay, let's not tweet just yet. Slicing Winds is what it is. I think obviously still it's gonna probably still be taken with what's it called, Conduit, because it still synergizes, as we'll have a look in a bit. I think the cool thing is that it's not in the very corner. And it's not in the bottom row either. You have there's quite a lot of nice choices here that you can choose from. And it also has a modifier, which they said they were going to remove away from. No, don't worry about it. It's not too bad of a modifier. I like it. I think it's in the best spot. I feel like Slicing Winds being in the bottom right corner always felt bad because you had to go da da da, and you had to take like a lot of talents to get to it. Whereas it's got it's got two options basically of how you can get to it now. I mean, it had two options before, right? But no, it didn't add one. What am I talking about? So it has like different paths you can actually take to get Slicing Winds, and as we're going all the way down the middle, right? Which you probably are always going to do regardless, you'd only have to take Russian Jade Wind to get to it. So let's say in a world where you don't want to take Memory of the Monastery or Energy Burst or Inner Peace or whatever, you will want to take some of these. But in that world, you can still get to it with a talent that's pretty decent still. Russian Jade Wind is decent in AoE. It's okay. It's fine. It is what it is. It's just Slicing Winds. Love it, hate it. It is a strong ability. It always has been since it was released for Windwalker. Good ability. Well, ever since it got that buff. But good in AoE. Synergizes well with Conduit. Yeah, Slicing Winds. I think it's in a better position. I think that's the main thing I care about the most. And it's got a modifier to it. We talked a bit about Jadefire Stomp already at the start, but as I said before, they've made it so it's no longer has the option for you to send it out yourself. You know, sometimes you could have the option. You had the option in this expansion to either have it after Fist of Fury, or to press it and it shoots it out itself. Now it is always after Fist of Fury. However, it looks like there's no internal cooldown, so it's going to be after every single Fist of Fury, which is kind of cool because that was the one thing that sucked. It had a 25-second cooldown internally, so it was only every Fist of Fury after 25 seconds, which made it suck if you took that option. The big change, though, is that it no longer makes targets that you've hit take more damage from you. It now only has the option to increase damage to one single target more, or the actual damage of the stomp itself does more damage per target's hit, capped at 5, right? So, potential take. Realistically, it's not in a bad spot in the tree. I think what saves it here is that Inner Peace connects to it. In that if Memory of the Monastery sucks, and you would never want to take Memory of the Monastery for whatever reason, being forced to take it to go to Jadefire Stomp would be awful, and that'd feel bad. I like the fact that a lot of these talents have different paths to them to allow you to take multiple different talents. I think that's kind of cool. I feel like a lot of the time in this tree, there were like a lot of talents that felt like forced, with like singular paths and stuff. I'm kind of a fan of the talent tree. I think it's fine. But yeah, I like right now probably sucks. But let's say this is tuned well, you could go Inner Peace into this rather than having to take Memory of the Monastery. Let's say Memory of the Monastery is good. Energy Burst into Memory, you know what I mean? Or just skip Energy and Inner Peace, go straight down into it. So you're not having to spend like a crazy amount of talents to get to it. But I probably think it's probably too weak right now. But if it is good, it's simple to play, passive, and you literally don't even have to think about it realistically. A singular focus Jade hits your target and not a random guy could be nice prio damage. I think that probably in AoE you probably wouldn't take it, right? I feel like unless it's tuned well enough that it's strong enough for the actual Jadefire Stomp to hit hard enough on multiple targets. But I think maybe there could always be an argument that if the damage it does increased by 500% is strong enough, then maybe it's a good single target boss ability, but we'll have to see. It has potential, but just like all of this expansion, you've just never taken it. It's just not strong enough. So maybe they'll make you take it. Maybe it'll just be another 2 dead talent nodes that you don't touch. We'll see. Have we done knowledge of the broken? Yeah, we've done this tree. So now we're at the very bottom. We talked about these two. So this is what I mean when I say Slicing Winds now has 2 choices to it. And more likely than not, if you go Slicing Winds, you're going to take one of these. And they're kind of cool. So Airborne Rhythm is interesting, where Slicing Winds now generates 2 chi when cast. And Hurricane's Vault has it so that now 2 casts, 2 custs. What are they trying to say here? Spell English good. Slicing Winds now costs 2 chi to cast, but its damage is increased by 100%. So my heart of heart tells me that it's always going to be Hurricane's Vault, right? Like, you're not passing up an 100% damage increase, right? Are you ever? Even at the cost of the cost of 2 chi. But I think it's cool to have the option because right now Slicing Winds is a free ability, 30-second cooldown, and you can pop it whenever, right? As long as it's off cooldown, no chi requirement. But they've done something interesting here where you have it's like the devil's choice. You can now have it give you chi, which I think is interesting, but you probably never need it to give you chi. I feel like that's kind of bad. Like at no point have I ever thought to myself, man, I wish that Slicing Winds gave me chi so I could continue my rotation. That just sounds kind of weird. But when you compare it to like Hurricane's Volt, where it does 100% more damage, like on a heavy hitting ability already, but it costs chi, I'd take that deal. Like, okay, I'm already spending resources on my other chi abilities, and also, does it work with ordered elements? Chi costs are reduced by 1, and Blackout Kick reduces the cooldown of affected abilities by an additional 1 second. If I pop Weapons of Order, and I have Hurricane's Volt, does Slicing Winds now cost 1 chi and I reduce its cooldown with Blackout Kick? It probably should, which now makes Hurricane Volt even stronger. So that's kind of cool, right? And it does 100% increased damage, by the way, so we like that. So if these two synergize well together, big fan. And I think that's kind of cool. So I like this. I like this a lot. But Hurricane's Volt, I think, I'd always take that shit. Zen's Bond talks about, you know what this is. It's just at the bottom of the tree now with Zuin. I mean, it was only up here before, but bottom of the middle of the tree, you know, increases damage by 30%, cooldown reduced by 30. You know, pretty standard. Allows you to go 2 minutes or 1 minute 30 if you go Zuin. Always good. Flurry of Zuin. So this is kind of a big change in the sense that it's completely changed its location. And I haven't actually read this one, so I don't know how different it actually is. So your spells and abilities have a chance to activate Flurry of Zuin, unleashing a barrage of deadly swipes, dealing damage in a 10-yard cone. Classic. Damage reduced beyond 5 targets. We like that because it's not hard capped. Invoking Zuin, the White Tiger activates Flurry of Zuin. So my initial thought is this weaker because we don't have Fury of Zuin? Because Fury of Zuin invoked Zuin, right? Which would then allow you to Flurry of Zuin, if I'm correct in my understanding of how that would have worked. Oh, it has it's approximately 2 procs per minute, so it is hard capped on procs. But it's hard to tell if it's actually restricted on this. Either way, what's the big difference here then? Why is it at the bottom? This is what I don't understand. I don't know why it's at the bottom. Because it doesn't seem crazy strong. Good question. Okay, cool. I'm not crazy then. Unless this is missing something, because it looks like it's the exact. It doesn't do much different here, and you didn't take it over hit combos in any situation other than maybe one time in season 1 or at the very start of season 2 for a little bit. It kind of seems like it's pointless to take. This feels very odd that this is here and it's not being changed in any way at all. So I can't really talk much more on Flurry of Zuin because I think this is a question mark. This is actually a question mark ability. I know these are all question mark. This one is a big question mark. I don't know why it's here. I think it's actually weaker than it was before because you're invoking Zuin less than you would be in this expansion. It doesn't feel like a bottom choice node. It feels like it should be I honestly think it should still share a choice with hit combo. I think that's fine. Because it was always that Flurry of Zuin allowed you to have the less damaging confirmed AoE damage from it, but hit combos allowed you to have the I'm doing my mastery well damage from it. So I always thought they were a fine choice node. You always took hit combo, but they're very strange to put this here. I think they may be missing something or it needs to be added to, and I'm sure they will. Otherwise, big question mark. So harmonic combo is one we talked about a little bit earlier when we talked about Crashing Fists. But Fist of Fury's chi cost is reduced by 1, but its damage is reduced by 10%. So it's that devil's offer. I'll reduce your chi cost of Fist of Fury by 1, so now it's 2 chi all the time, but it loses 10% damage. And it really depends, I think, on how chi starved we are, maybe, on how good this is. Because if we find ourselves a little bit chi starved, which we might be a little bit if we go Slicing Winds and now that costs chi and stuff like that, is it okay to take the 10% reduced damage to have more chances to get Fist of Furies out? Because if we add Harmonic Combo to Weapons of Order, suddenly your Fist of Fury costs one chi during Weapons of Order, essentially, which is pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty sure that isn't that what it is now. Am I crazy? I mean, it's 2 now, isn't it? No, it's 2 now. Wait, no. Yes, yeah, it's 2 now. So yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I think a lot of these synergize well with each other, but it just depends how. I think it will really depend on how much chi resource management we have, and if chi is an issue. Like, let's say chi is not an issue, and we're, like right now in season 3 of the War Within, chi's not really an issue. Energy's not really an issue. This would kind of, I think this would be a bad ability in like season 3 of the War Within, because at no point am I really struggling for chi or energy. I've got enough like resources to balance it out. Talents work out nicely. Things might change. New expansion, stat squish, stat change, like stat reductions, that sort of jazz. Maybe just having Fist of Fury reduce cost by 1 allows you to get more Fist of Furies off, allows you to save a bit more energy, and the 10% damage reduction sucks, but you're going to get more of these out. So interesting. So it's a cool concept. I like it. And then finally, Skyfire Heal. Rising Sun Kick's critical strike chance is increased by 4% for each enemy nearby, up to 5. And that isn't up to 5, so that means it will go up to 20%. Quick math. Yep. So Rising Sun Kick's critical strike chance can essentially be 20% if there are 5 targets nearby. And then 10% of its damage splashes onto nearby enemies. Damage reduced beyond 5 targets, which means that it will still damage targets above 5, which is good. This is our Season 2. This is our Season 2 Dragonfly hero set piece, right? But they've named it Skyfire Heal. This means that Rising Sun Kick, because Rising Sun Kick always feels a little bit bad to press in AoE, especially if like you're using it to activate a Whirling Dragon Punch, right? But I remember that the issue, or not the issue, it became a bit of a demonic gameplay that Rising Sun Kick, you'd pretty much always press an AoE in that season of Dragonflight, which was weird because we had Spinning Crane Kick, but Rising Sun Kick was just so strong to press an AoE. But I don't know if this is so strong enough that it means that you'd always Rising Sun Kick over Spinning Crane Kick. I doubt that would be the case, but I think this is sort of like a balancing act of, okay, we realize that you have to Rising Sun Kick to get off Whirling Dragon Punch. We're going to give you some damage now, so that it does a bit of AoE damage. It's going to be useful. You would never take this in a single target boss encounter. Or maybe you would. 4% increased crit strike? Nah, fuck it. Nah, it's too low. But you know what I mean, right? So maybe it's useful, and it allows you to not feel too bad about Rising Sun Kicking, especially if you're taking something like Zuin's Battle Gear, right? That's like the big one. Because that you'd press this in AoE, right, as well. As long as in this season, right, if you're taking Zuin's Battle Gear in AoE and plus whatever, to reduce Fist of Fury cooldown, it always feels bad to press Rising Sun Kick. It feels awful. I mean, you get more often Fist of Fury, which is good, but it feels awful to press Rising Sun Kick because it does no damage to anything else. You're basically just like, oh, fuck me, single target and AoE. What am I doing in my life? This at least, like, kind of synergizes and makes it feel a bit less punishing. Like, feels bad, man, I guess. It feels better, man. So I think this is fine. Scaling might matter on if this is actually worth taking, or if it's worth just not taking this for another talent, but I like the idea. I think it's cool. Make me feel less bad about Rising Sun Kicking in AoE. Thank you, because the likelihood is that Zuin's Battle Gear tends to usually be decent and run sometimes, and you're probably always taking Whirling Dragon Punch, which means you're always going to have to Rising Sun Kick in AoE anyway. You see, it all kind of like works together. So maybe getting a bit of AoE damage off of that. I mean, it's only 10%, but yeah, 10%'s okay, especially with all the crit that we're getting to Rising Sun Kick. Should be alright. Where's the other one? The actual crit. Where's that at? Rising Star, yeah, Rising Star being up here. Yeah, I like it. Overall, I like this talent tree. I think like the abilities that we've actually lost aren't that bad. Acclamation, cringe. Courageous Impulse, who cares? Fury of Zuin, meh. Gale Force, I like this actually. I'm sad about this. Invoker's Delight, I really like this. I'm sad about this. Jadefire Stomp, Jadefire Harmony, I laugh and spit at them. I'm sad about Last Emperor's Capacitor. Martial Mixture, who gives a fuck? Order Elements are still there. Storm and Fire, nah. Class Fantasy ruined. Transfer the Power, nah, who gives a fuck? But I think the new ones are kind of cool. I like the idea of Cyclone's Drift and Crashing Fists. Hurricane's Vault sounds really exciting. I'm a very big fan of this. I think Rushing Wind Kick has potential, and Skyfire Heal has potential as well, but I think they have to be done correctly. I think it's fine. And I think I like how they put all of your energy and resource management talents over here on the right-hand side. I think that's good. I don't think they should be spread out around the tree. It's stupid. I guess Sequence Strikes are still down here, but having them all together to allow you to choose some and not the others, and then allow you to further go down feels better than having them like forced above like certain things, so you have to make choices, and that sucks. I think they sorted out a bunch of the talent tree as well, like putting things like Dual Threat near the top, and the only question mark is Flurry of Zoom. What I have no idea what they're doing down here. That is crazy to me. But I think a lot of the powerful abilities are still in the powerful spots. Maybe Zuin should be in a different spot. Very low down for him, especially without Invoker's Delight. Is this even good anymore? Who knows? Maybe when Blizzard give me the alpha, we'll find out. Overall, I think it's fine. I kind of like it. It's different enough to not feel unfamiliar, but it's fresh enough to still be excited about. But I do think it's a little bit more simplistic. The gameplay of Windwalker will be more simplistic. You'll have less buttons, because there's no new added buttons, right, added here, right? Which I think is fine. Like, there's nothing new, like, that you'd actually press. And technically, you've lost an ability if you take Strike and Whirling Dragon Punch, because now you can only take one or the other. So, and on top of that, losing Gale Force makes Strike of the Windlord a little bit more simplistic, right? Or I suppose the Strike of the Windlord Whirling Dragon Punch combo, which now would have activated it if it was still a thing. Symbol's not always bad, but I think skill expression is important in this game to a degree. But I think quality of life features is good as well. Making these two actual set timers is good. It means that downtime doesn't feel as punishing. Dance of the Chi-Ji, maybe less egregious in single target, which it really was, right? Let's be real. We all enjoy pressing it in single target because it's glowing button, does a lot of damage. Is it healthy to press your AoE ability in single target and it do more than your single target abilities? No, it's not. Come on. There's a lot of exciting things. Rushing Wind Kick, if they get it right, cool. Skyfire Heal, as I've said. Harmonic combos are actually really exciting, but it really depends if how our chi management works. And there's still enough shit talents here that I never cared about before, just to make it still feel like Windwalker. Yeah, I like it. I like our talent tree. I just wish it wasn't all question marks. I liked how Windwalker was a medium difficulty spec. Skill expression is going out the window. I agree that skill expression is going out the window a little bit, but I don't think it's just Windwalker. I think, hot take, I think the entire game skill expression is going out the window. And I think that the removal of add-ons and WeCore is going to impact every player. I think that Blizzard think that it's going to be better for the mass, like the majority audience that's just like LFR and stuff. I think that's the main player base and stuff that want to get into raiding and stuff. That's who they want to make it better for. I think it's going to do the opposite, because I think those players still use add-ons and WeCores. Not all of them, but if you're getting into raiding and you're fresh into raiding and stuff, you'll still use add-ons and stuff. You want to track stuff. You're watching videos. You're learning, and suddenly that's all taken away from you. I feel like it's going to actually be harder to play the game as someone who's trying to get into raiding than it is as someone who has raided a lot, has used these add-ons and stuff. Because I feel like it will suck to lose the add-ons and stuff. But I think it's harder to get in without them, if that kind of makes sense. I don't know. I don't even know if that's a hot take. I don't know if it's going to do what they want it to do. Did I talk about the Apex talents? No, I'm not even there yet. We've only covered the Windwalker tree. We covered the class tree, actually, to be fair. I did talk about the class tree. We're going to do Apex talents, and then we'll do Shadowpan, then Conduit, I think. So, now for the exciting Apex talents. Apex Legends. The talents, I guess. essentially just Blizzard's way of giving us new talents and saying it's something fresh, but it's essentially just 3 new talents, and they're all passive. So no new buttons here. It's all passive gameplay. Uh, that's okay, I guess. I think that's fine. It is always this. It's the start of a new expansion. They usually don't want to overwhelm you with like too many new things, like depress and shit. So it's Tiger Eye Brew. This used to be an ability for Monk. I never used it myself, but a lot of monks will be like, "Ooh, nostalgia, Tiger Eye Brew." I have no idea if it works the way it used to. Probably not. But essentially, you gain a stack of it, or you gain Tiger's Eye Brew every 7 seconds, and it causes your crit strike to be increased by 2% during your next weapons of order, stacking up to 20 times. Generates quickly up to 10 stacks while out of combat. That's good. So that means on pull in a raid, you'll start at 10 stacks, right? Because obviously on pull, you're popping weapons of order. It's going to at least have 10 stacks. So that means you'll have 20% crit strike during weapons of order. So I guess the max amount of crit strike you can have during your next weapons of order is 40%, 20 times 2. Yeah, math. And every 7 seconds, you get a stack of it. So I imagine it's just. I feel like it's not going to be something you. I don't know if it's going to be something you prep for or not. I think it's going to be a natty thing, right? Which I think's okay. Like, because there's two ways of looking at it. Is it something that you're trying to always stack up to 20 times? Probably not, because that's 20 times 7 seconds, which is. I don't know. I can't math. 20 seconds times 7, anyone? Ah, it's a big number. Too big to stack up, basically, if thingy's on a 90-second timer. It's only 8 on alpha, if I remember correctly. Okay. 8 what? I don't know what 8 what is. But essentially, yeah, I think this is going to be played passively. I don't think you're going to like manipulate this or anything, if that kind of makes sense. Unless maybe you allow it to stack up a bit more. It's much like Unyielding Nether Prism. I'm guessing it'll feel really bad to die. Oh, true. Does it survive through death? That's a great question. It doesn't say, but I'm probably not right. So yeah, it'd be cool if it did. I think they maybe should allow it to survive through. Actually, no, it won't, will it? But then I suppose if you die, you get to generate up to 10 stacks really quickly because you're out of combat. Because you'll be running back to the. You'll be running back. I don't know. Essentially, all it is it's passive crit strike that happens with weapons of order. So weapons of order just gets a nice big crit strike. You get more crit during weapons of order, which is your big burst window when you want more crit. Easy peasy. Will you have to hold for this? Will you have to do degen gameplay? I doubt it. I feel like maybe not, but hopefully not, because I feel like the degen gameplay of it will not feel good. Just being able to pop weapons of order when you want to pop it, rather than having to be like, I need this certain amount of stacks to make this useful. That kind of feels bad, because that's not really how you play Storm, Earth, and Fire. So yeah, we'll see about that. And then Tiger's Eye Brew, your crit strike damage is increased by 10%, 2 stacks, so I imagine it's 20% if you want to put 2 into nodes in this. That's a lot, right? Like, that's a 20% crit strike damage is quite big. Likelihood you probably take this. And then finally, you have a chance equal to your crit strike to increase the damage of your Fist of Fury by 15% each time it deals damage. Wow. So that low-key negates Harmonic Combo then. Because Harmonic Combo reduces the damage of Fist of Fury by 10%, but then if you increase it by 15%, does the math should work out that it is about the same damage as if you didn't, except it will now cost 1 less chi, which means you're probably sending it out more often. Yeah, I mean, I can see a world. But this is why I feel like we're very crit oriented, but we get a lot of our crit strike chance from Tiger's Eye Brew, actually. Essentially, what this is telling me is that our entire kit. What this is telling me is that Invoke Zuin is not our major cooldown, and the cooldown I care about more is actually Weapons of Order, which like if that makes sense. Like in my mind right now, in season 3 of The War Within, Storm Earth and Fire for Shadow Pan is my main cooldown. Zuin is my secondary cooldown, is how I view them, because Storm Earth and Fire is where all my damage comes from. Zuin just amplifies it a bit, gives me some haste. Nice. I feel like it's kind of the same thing, where Zuin right now feels like an afterthought, and your main cooldown is actually Weapons of Order. This is your cooldown. Zuin is just like, he's just there, dude. Like sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. Probably still pop them together, right? Makes sense. But this is the one I care about the most. This is where all the damage comes from, all the increased crit strike chance, crit strike damage. Fist of Fury is going to absolutely go slap so hard in Weapons of Order. But I guess the question is going to be, do you want longer Fists of Fury during the Weapon of Order? Because then you're not getting the reduced cooldown from Blackout Kick. So that's like the trade-off, right, with Crashing Fists, is that although Fist of Fury is longer, you're not getting any other abilities out, really. Because Fist of Fury will be like a 4.5 second cooldown. Weapons of Order, let's say it's 20 seconds long. That's already a fourth of your Weapons of Order down from one Fist of Fury. I don't know. I'm probably overthinking it. Windwalker's cooked, just reroll now? Okay, rerolling now. Yeah, I think I'd be extremely surprised if you didn't take these Apex talents, right? Like, because there's a world where you don't have to take Apex talents. It's like confirmed that you aren't forced to take them. You could actually just drop your Apex talents and put them into something else. I'd be extremely surprised if that was the case. But this looks like it just enhances Weapons of Order, or the damage. It enhances the damage that you're going to do during Weapons of Order. It also enhances your damage, your crit strike damage naturally. Just 20% worth is just pretty big, right? 20% extra crit strike damage is huge, just natty. Um, Fist of Fury, 15% each time it deals damage. Like, obviously, you need a chance equal to crit strike, which is why I think that there's a good chance that crit is probably a good secondary stat to chase. Like, although you'll naturally get crit strike during Weapons of Order from Tiger Eye Brew, having that extra chance just sounds even better to always have Fist of Fury as often as possible. 15% each damage, right? Extra damage. Like, why wouldn't you take that? I like it. I think it's good. I think it synergizes well with Weapons of Order. But as I said, I think this is your cooldown. I think Zuin is just, he's just there, dude. And it makes me think, like, would I even take these two? Would I take Zuin and Zen's Bond, as it's called here, or just go something else that makes me stronger during my Weapons of Order window? It's hard to tell, because I suppose he still does extra damage during it. But no Invoker's Delight? Do I care? No. Invoker's Delight was such a big part of Zen. Zuin. Maybe this makes Windwalker go more over for crit as a first priority for stats. I mean, that's what I'm leaning towards. I wouldn't be surprised if crit's pretty good. But then at the same time, I think mastery's still good as well. They haven't nerfed mastery, and mastery like scales so well. Unless they like low-key nerf the scaling of mastery, like the amount of raw stat you get for mastery to value percentage it gives you is just so good. Like, it's so strong. But then you need haste early on as well to allow yourself to actually function. But do we actually have enough energy resource abilities here? Like, Obsidian Spiral, uh, Combo Breaker, Energy Burst, Inner Peace, Sequence Strikes. Will this actually just carry? Ascension. Maybe we have enough actual resource management talents that you can actually get away with not going too much haste and just going, crit, crit mastery. I don't know. So it's very early still, right? This is like just it's like day one after these are released. It's all just spitballing ideas right now. But I like it. I like that increases it. But yeah, as someone said, if you die, do you lose all your stacks? Because that would feel atrocious. That would feel bad. Right, okay. So I think we'll go over Shadow Pan first because why not? I'm just gonna grab a glass of water. I'll be 2 secs. Give our lightning back. I don't think they will, because they really had two options with lightning. I mean, I said it a bit earlier, but it really skews how good Windwalker actually looks in raid, and it's good in M plus. It's not like top damage, but it contributes quite a bit. But Crackling Jade Lightning makes us really strong on ad fights and really weak on single target boss fights, right? Like, if you look at boss damage breakdown, we're actually really, really weak, but we get inflated by Crackling Jade Lightning suited fights. I'm sad to see it go as well. I like it, but I think they had two options: either nerf it or remove it. And I think the issue with nerfing it is that if they nerfed it, you just wouldn't take it, and then it's just dead talent spots, right? Because remember we had Last Emperor's Capacitor and Power of the Thunder King in season 1. You didn't take them. They weren't strong. They were in a weak state. They sucked. You never took them. They buffed them in season 2, and they were strong again. And then you always took them. And then season 3, you always take them, right? So in a nerf state, they're just not good enough to take. In a strong state, they are inherently it is an inherently bad ability, because I would rather do more boss damage with abilities that do AoE that also do AoE to the ads as well, than just be a padder and all my damage be basically pad damage carry. Does that kind of make sense? Like, I would prefer it if my Fist of Fury hits harder, does more damage to the boss, and also does good damage in AoE to the ads around it, rather than send out Crackling Jade Lightning that smokes the ads, but my boss damage is absolutely shit, and I'm not really contributing to the boss kill. So that kind of makes sense. Like, so I think they had two choices there, and I think they made the right one. Because if they nerfed it, you just have dead talent slots. If they keep it the same, I think you have this issue with Windwalker. I think Liquid Max said it good. I watched a video where he was literally talking about this exact thing, Crackling Jade Lightning, and I agree. I think like on paper, Windwalker looks really good in the raid on certain boss fights, but when you actually look at boss damage, it is just like Soulbind and his injury. You will be top damage, right? You then look at how much damage you actually did to the boss and how much you contributed to actually downing the boss. You did nothing. You do like nothing. I'd rather do something to the boss and do decent AoE damage, because that gets you the kill, right? So, it's good to look at it that way as well. But it is sad to see it go, because I enjoy lightning. I enjoy pressing it. I enjoy let shooting stuff. I enjoy being Darth Sidious, but it is kind of a bad ability, like in its design, like how it actually works, how we use it. Padwalker Monk, yeah, exactly. It's genuinely just Padwalker Monk. And there's no real way to make it not Padwalker Monk, because nerfing it just means you won't take it. So rather give us other talents, right? Like give us something like Skyfire Heal, which makes Rising Sun Kick do some AoE damage, but you're still hitting the right. Great example of this ability here. You're still going to do damage to the boss with Rising Sun Kick, but now it's going to do splash AoE damage to ads around it. Is that splash AoE damage going to be strong enough to actually matter? Don't know yet because of tuning, but it allows you to still do good single target with your single target ability and hit targets around it without you just padding. Does that kind of make sense? So I think it's healthier, but it's also sad to see it go, right? Obviously. Somehow, I don't even know how I've yapped for like 3 hours already, and all I've covered is the Windwalker talent tree, and I guess I've talked about the class tree. I don't even know, dude. So, Shadowpan, big changes here, and they're good. They are healthy for Windwalker, they're healthy for Shadowpan. we no longer have to be degenerate in how we play Shadowpan, I suppose. Flurry Strikes is saved. Kind of. I'm going to... Yeah, okay. So Flurry Strikes, when you deal damage, you generate a Flurry Strike. Same as before. The big change here is now when you Fist of Fury, you unleash all Flurry charges. No longer do you have to get to 240 energy, 120 energy. It's when you Fist of Fury. This is inherently good, right? Because it means that you're no longer having to manipulate energy to an extent. I mean, you do. We'll get into it a little bit because there's another talent here that actually causes energy to affect Flurry Strikes as well. But now it just means that you're not having to like do degenerate things with Tiger Palm to get Flurry Strikes off. You're having to spam Tiger Palm even though you're capped on resources to get Flurry Strikes off. When you Fist of Fury, it shoots out Flurry Strike. This is good. It means that Fist of Fury is even stronger now because it allows like you like because a lot of the time I felt like even now during a Storm Earth and Fire window, sometimes I'll hold Fist of Fury for like 3 or so seconds to get an extra Tiger Palm out to allow myself to send out these Flurry Strikes during this window, which means I'm delaying Fist of Fury, but I value the Flurry Strikes with shadow damage more. This just means that when you Fist of Fury, you send out Flurry Strikes, no more of this degenerate energy shit. Good. I like this. Big change. We're happy. We'll talk about Wisdom of the Wall because it completely ties into this. So we'll go down to the very bottom now. They've completely changed this. Wisdom of the Wall used to be random ordering of 4 buffs that you've got. Obviously, Shadow being the best because it meant that you did big AoE Shadow damage with Flurry Strikes. Now you summon a boy. Okay. You now summon a Shadowpan fighter to assist you. Who knows what this means? Like genuinely, who knows what this means? He's gonna help you. And his damage is increased by 1% per Flurry Strike you've triggered before casting Weapons of Order. So it's interesting, and there's the debate again of, are we going to have to send out a ton of Flurry Strikes and be holding Weapons of Order to make this guy do more damage, or is it just a passive thing where whatever percent it's at, it will be out when you send out Weapons of Order? I'm really hoping it's the latter, because just like with Tiger's Eye Brew, right, holding it to 20 stacks sounds really degen and not fun. Holding Weapons of Order again so that this fighter has a lot of stacks from Flurry Strikes also sounds not fun and just bad. So hopefully it works out where you can just basically press Weapons of Order, this guy summons on whatever percent increased damage, and he does some Shadowpan shit. I don't even know what this guy's going to do. It doesn't say he replicates your damage. It doesn't say if he's AoE, single target. He just assists you. So, not enough information. Hopefully, he doesn't work like a Storm Earth and Fire clone and it doesn't use the same code, because then we basically still have Storm Earth and Fire. But they've simplified Shadowpan's. It's a lot more simplistic, right? Like Wisdom of the Wall, literally all it does is summon a boy, and Flurry Strikes now just sends out with Fist of Fury. It's more simple, but I think it's healthier. I'm not too sure about the boy, but I'm definitely happy with the change to Flurry Strikes, how they actually get discharged. They're much healthier. Class tree still doo-doo? Kind of, yeah. That's a fair assessment of the class tree. I mean, I think that losing diffuse magic is not great. I'm not happy about that. But otherwise, I think the class tree is okay. I just think we need more innate survivability. But that's fine, I guess. I guess not having that's fine. Once again, Pride of Pandaria and High Impact. So Pride of Pandaria is a staple take where Flurry Strikes deal a 50% additional chance to critical strike, so that was always good. We like crit strike, especially if we're going to have a lot of chance to crit strike from Tiger's Eye Brew and everything else going on at the moment. So probably Pride of Pandaria is even stronger now. Because right now we don't have massive crit, like we don't build into crit. We have a lot of trinkets and stuff that give us crit, and we still have a fair bit of crit in Season 3. But it's not like I need as much crit as I can get. But this synergizes well with Tiger's Eye Brew. High Impact, I don't know. The issue of High Impact is it didn't work very well in The War Within. I feel like it probably still won't work well. Like, I forget what the issue with it is, but it's to do with Flurry Strikes actually hitting targets and stuff. Maybe if they fix it, it's good, but even then, It's probably always Pride of Pandaria, right? Veteran's Eye, same thing as it was before. Striking the same target 5 times within 2 seconds gives you haste, stacking up 10 times. Well, it's just your flurry strikes hit a target, 10 times. Cool. You get haste. Attacks penetrate 12% armor. Fine, same as before. Under construction, under construction, under construction. Cool. No idea what these mean. I guess they're still making them. That's fine. One versus many. This is the same as it was before. Fist of Fury increased by 20%, and dealing damage with Fist of Fury counts double towards Flurry Charge generation. Was that how it worked before? Did it do the double? Yeah, it did. So it's the same thing. Whirling Steel, predicted training, same thing, essentially. Oh, one thing I didn't mention in the class tree actually was that they've changed Dance of the Wind, which they didn't, which I don't know if they mentioned, but this is now really bad. They changed it back to what it was before, essentially, where Dance of the Wind was really good this season and season 2 because it meant that you got the 90, like you got the damage reduction when you got hit by a physical attack, and it was really good for certain encounters, boss fights, in dungeons and raid, where you essentially just took no damage from physical stuff. This now sucks. It's just dodge chance again. Dodge chance is always bad, so you're probably not taking Dance of the Wind ever again. So, bit of a tangent, but yeah. Mentioned in the patch notes, wasn't there diffuse magic in it? Yeah, but they've changed how it works. Diffuse magic now just essentially makes it so your Fort Brew can reflect harmful abilities. It doesn't give you any magic resistance or anything like that. And the issue with that is that Fort Brew tends to always be an ability that you try to press for a duration of time, ideally before the damage comes in, right? Because it's not really a reactive defensive, it's more like a cover a long period of time defensive. So then having it as a way to remove a reflective damaging ability, right? Like your big defensive is Fort Brew, like it gives you 20% health, 20% damage reduction. You're using it to reduce a large amount of damage incoming or over a period of time. Why would I want to press it specifically to reflect something, right? Like that just feels awful. Because if I have something on me and I'm going to reflect it, but it costs me my biggest defense, like pretty much my biggest defensive, I don't know. It just feels bad. I'm not a fan of it. Maybe if it gave you the magic reduction as well, maybe. On top of that, a lot of things don't get reflected back or removed with diffuse magic as it stands, so it's already an awful. Like that part of diffuse magic always sucked. Well, has sucked for a long time anyway. So a lot of the time, I guarantee that it wouldn't even remove the harmful effect from you. So like, how often are you actually getting value from it? It's a tough one, but I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Whirling Steel predictive training, same thing. Whirling Steel's the usual take for a lot of situations. Predictive training's okay. Potentially could synergize well with Dance of the Wind, but probably not. Like, unlikely. Whirling Steel's just always been good. Increasing parry chance and avoidance when you drop below 50%. Just a nice defensive. Predictive training just doesn't get enough procs, I don't think. The 5% dodge was the brew version of Dance of the Wind talent. Are we sure only showing that isn't just a WoW head issue? Potentially, hopefully, that'd be good. It's always possible because they also, I mean, they show Chi Burst here, but they say it's only for Brewmaster. I mean, potentially you're right. Maybe it is just the Brewmaster version, and they can't do it like that. In an ideal world, it is because Dance of the Wind is really useful, but at the same time, it is kind of broken, right? Like, think about Theater of Pain, and you have the boss Zav, and he does that big smash ability, and it nukes everybody's health down except for the Windwalker because we have a full stack Dance of the Wind, and it doesn't break the Dance of the Wind because it's not coded to break the Dance of the Wind, so you never take damage on that encounter whilst everyone's bleeding out. Inherently, that is bad design. It's good for us, and we like it, but it's bad because it just means that we're negating an entire mechanic passively from a thing, and that probably isn't how it should work. Obviously, I'm a fan of it because it keeps you alive, but You see what I mean? Like it works weirdly with leads and certain AoE physical damage. Vigilant Watch, Blackout Kick deals an additional 20% crit damage and increases the damage of your next set of Flurry Strikes, same as previous. Efficient Training, so energy spenders deal an additional 20% damage, and every 50 energy spent reduces the cooldown of Weapons of Order by 1 second. So that's still a cool thing. Weapons of Order will still get a natural increased cooldown with Shadow Pan. And it's the same 50 energy spent. So yeah, that's still about the same. I guess the difference here is that energy spenders deal less additional damage. It's gone from 40 to 20. And realistically, the only energy spender that we're now going to have is Tiger Palm. So, Tiger Palm nerfs? Question mark, I guess. Because this used to be really good with Crackling Jade Lightning. Especially, like, Shadow Pan, it was like 40% increased damage to Crackling Jade Lightning. Pretty strong, right? Tiger Palm's taking a hit here. Unlucky. So they changed against all odds, which is kind of a big one that they changed. Against all odds is degenerate by design. It feels awful when your stacks drop because you want to keep 20 stacks currently with Shadow Pan, and it's just horrible if they drop because you go from 20% increased agility to 0%, and then you have to build it back up, and at that point you've lost a lot of Flurry Strike damage, Crackling Jade Lightning damage. It's just not very fun, feels bad. I think they've noticed this, they've realized this, and they've just made it a flat agility increase by 4%, which is okay. Probably still weaker than it was in this season, but it's just an agility increase, but it stops the degenerate gameplay that was the Flurry Strike rotation. Where's the one I'm looking for? Where's the Shadow? Am I correct? I swear there should be one called Shadow. It's over here, isn't it? Because essentially, Shadow Wisdom of the Wall they made permanent, but it's not showing on that tree. Where is it? Yeah, okay. New talent, right. These are the ones I think that they haven't added, or the ones over here that are under construction. So Shadow over the battlefield. Flurry Strikes deal shadow damage to all enemies within 6 yards. This is either going to be absurdly broken or nerfed enough that it really doesn't matter and it barely does anything. The issue with this, and the reason why I think it's going to be nerfed into oblivion and barely do any damage, is that Shadow Flurry Strike damage carries Flurry Strike damage right now, and to really get a lot of value from it was during Storm, Earth, and Fire windows, and you had to prep for it, and it was only once every like 130 minutes or whatever, you know. Now it's permanent. Every time you Flurry Strike, it will do shadow damage to all enemies within 6 yards. There's no way it's going to be as strong as it is right now. Like, otherwise, every Flurry Strike discharge you send out will do insane damage. It's going to be the Shadow Wisdom of the Bull buff, but just nerfed. It won't be as strong. There's no way. But it's still good. It just means the Shadow Pan, you're always going to do some extra AoE damage inside cooldowns, outside of cooldowns, so that's fine. But it will definitely be a nerf version of itself. It'd be crazy if it wasn't. Can you explain Weapons of Order? It seems to look like it passively just makes everything cost less. Is that only during its use? Yeah, essentially, it is exactly like Ordered Elements. If you currently play Windwalker and run Ordered Elements, which you should be doing in Raid at least. Like Ordered Elements basically means that during Storm, Earth, and Fire, you know, you reduce the cost by 1 for Chi abilities, and Blackout Kit reduces the cooldown. Weapons of Order does exactly this, except instead of being passive, or I suppose when you press Storm, Earth, and Fire, this activated for the duration of Storm, Earth, and Fire. Basically, Weapons of Order is Ordered Elements. It essentially just Ordered Elements, right? Except you press it to activate it. And it's just during the duration. So it should be a 15-second duration. It's not confirmed, but it's highly likely, like Storm, Earth, and Fire. And it basically just reduces the cooldown of abilities that cost chi when you Blackout Kick, and reduces the chi cost of those abilities. So, but yeah, that's essentially what it is. So it's not something unfamiliar. It's not brand new. It'll be something that you'll have played with the entirety of the Wall Within, actually. Okay, new talent, Stand Ready, which I imagine is probably one of these three as well. stand ready. Where is it? Activating Weapons Order instantly grants 10 stacks of Flurry Strikes that trigger it at 70% effectiveness. And Weapons of the Wall, Flurry Charge generation is increased by 50%, and Flurry Strikes activates every 150 energy spent during Weapons of Order. Where have we seen this before? This is the 4 set for Season 3, with a little bit of a difference. This part is the exact same. This is our 2 set, I think, right? I hope it's our 2 set. This is one part of our Shadowpan 4 set. Instantly getting the 10 stacks, right? And that triggers. So that means you could, like, essentially do the double sending out Flurry Strikes thing, but it won't actually impact your... It won't be the same because you're not cycling through abilities and you're also not stacking AO up. Basically, it's a very... It's cool because you send out Flurry Strikes, but it won't be as powerful as it is in Season 3 because the interactions that it has with its other talents are completely different because the other talents are different now. Ooh. And then this one... So this is what I meant when I said that energy is still relevant now. So although Flurry Strikes now always discharge with Fist of Fury, they also activate every 150 energy spent during Weapons of Order. Now, 150 energy spent is a very strange number, because it was 120. And so what my thinking is that it's a strange number. You know what I mean? And my thinking is maybe they're expecting us to play in a piece potentially. Does that work out 150? Or I guess it's been the issue is that no, it wouldn't even work out like that. Basically, it's every 3 Tiger Palms, right? 6, 12, 8. No, well, yes, it is every 3 Tiger Palms. And every 5 Tiger Palms, you send out 2 Flurry Strikes. And then with Jaded, within a piece, that's 55, 110, 160. So I guess every 3 Tiger Palms as well within a piece, you'd also activate it, but not every 6, right? It would be every 7 to send out 2. I'm yapping about things that don't matter. Essentially, I think this means it's not as punishing to run in a piece, if that kind of makes sense, because of the 150 energy spent. But it means there's basically 2 ways to send out Flurry Strike. So hopefully, but then how does this work? Oh my god. Oh, I see. So actually, it doesn't actually matter how many Flurry Strikes you send out anymore. Because you know how we always wanted to stack it up to 10 stacks before you sent it out, otherwise you wouldn't get your Wisdom of the Wall buff and it felt bad and that all sucked. Now it really doesn't matter how many Flurry Strikes you sent out during a Fist of Fury or your energy, because there's no Wisdom of the Wall buff rotation, because that doesn't exist anymore. So essentially sending out any amount of Flurry Strikes at any time you discharge is actually a net positive, because all that matters is sending them out. That's kind of good. Okay, I like that. It means that you probably don't even need all these trackers anymore. I mean, we won't be able to have them anymore. They get removed. Unlucky. But it just means naturally, I think the only thing you might consider is maybe trying to get more Flurry Strikes out during Weapons of Order, and maybe trying to... But then, no, that doesn't work, does it? Because it's only 150 energy spent during Weapons of Order, so it starts off at 0. And then my question is, are you even wanting to Tiger Palm during Weapons of Order? Because with Weapons of Order, the entire gimmick that they're trying to push here is that you don't actually want to Tiger Palm. You want to take Obsidian Swirl and instead use Blackout Kick as your chi generator to get more Fist of Furies and Rising Sun kicks out without having to use Tiger Palm, because Tiger Palm during Weapons Order will suck. I feel like this feels bad. I think you'll be able to get Flurry Strikes off during Weapons of Order, but I don't feel like you want to Tiger Palm during Weapons of Order, and you won't be Tiger Palming as much, or shouldn't have to Tiger Palm as much, as long as you can Blackout Kick and gain Chi. Basically, this is going to be so weak, I think. If the Flurry Charge generation is increased by 50% bit is separate and doesn't require Weapons of Order, this is actually what I think the best part of this part is, because it means that you'll generate more, and then you'll always be sending out more Flurry Strikes during like a Fist of Fury. But I think the amount of flurry strikes you'll actually send out during Weapons of Order as a result of the energy spent is actually going to be so minimal. Like, at a push, maybe during that 20 seconds, 15 seconds of Weapon of Order, you might send out two, like 300 energy worth, if that. But that would require you to Tiger Palm 6 times during Weapons of Order, which sounds troll. Basically, I just don't think this is going to do much damage, and hopefully this part is separate, because if this part's just on its own, that's good, because I actually prefer just the flurry charge generation being higher, because it means that you get more stacks, which means you're more likely to send out more flurry strikes every time you Fist of Fury, which is good, because more flurry strikes, more damage. Yeah, this is not as strong as I think I maybe thought it was initially, but it'll just be like passive, potentially flurry strikes being sent out, which is okay still, but I don't think it's not going to be like Storm of Fire where you proc Weapons of Order and now you're spamming Tiger Palms, right? Like when you pop Storm of Fire, you are spamming Tiger Palms, weaving them between each ability. I'd be very surprised if that's the gameplay they go for here. I don't feel like you'd be wanting to weave in Tiger Palms, because one, it's 150 energy, so it's an extra Tiger Palm worth, which sucks in itself. Does that kind of make sense? Maybe we ignore the 150 energy threshold and only discharge with Fist of Fury. But, I mean, potentially, like, you still probably have to Tiger Palm during Weapons of Order to get Chi at some points. Like, maybe Blackout Kick 1 Chi isn't enough to carry it through, and maybe to not overcap energy anyway. But I don't think you'll be going out of your way to Tiger Palm, Fist of Fury, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Tiger Palm, Whirling Dragon Punch. You know how you're doing it now in this season? I think it's going to be more of a... I'd be surprised, unless Flurry strikes are really, really strong. They'd have to be really strong, though. And that all really comes down to how strong is the shadow damage. And as I said earlier, I think they're nerfing the shadow damage, because there's no way the shadow damage is insanely strong if it procs every time you Flurry Strike. So I think this might just be like a little nice addition thing, like a little bit like this is a little bit of an additional thing. Like you'll sometimes get like an extra Flurry Strike sent out during Weapon of Order. What I'm trying to say is I'm also hoping this isn't the degen gameplay of Storm, Earth, and Fire, because although it's a lot of damage to Tiger Palm every other ability during Storm, Earth, and Fire, it's very degenerate gameplay to Tiger Palm at max Chi over a Chi ability, right? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the time, it's better to Tiger Palm to get a Flurry Strike out to keep against all odds up right now in Season 3 at max Chi than it is to send out like a, Fist of Fury or something when you have those two choices available. So yeah, I think this is fine. I think these are all... Basically, this is just our tier set now, but I think it's a very nullified version of it. It won't... I don't think these talents are going to like carry Shadowpan. Still cool though that they've added it into the tree itself. I think that's nice. No alpha for my boy. It's okay. I messaged Blizzard support. I sent a ticket into Blizzard support and I said, "Hi, can I have alpha?" And I'll see what they say. They're probably going to say no, because who the fuck sends a ticket asking if they can get alpha? But I was like, I don't know what else to say. You got to know a guy who knows a guy. I don't know anyone. So I just sent a ticket to John Blizzard, and I'm sure he'll be like, yeah, go on then. Did we get a Windwalker? I know Meg was on it. Potentially J-Funk might get one. I think he's the most likely person to get one. Yeah, overall, that's the changes to the Shadowpan. I like it and I don't. I like how they've changed Flurry Strikes, and they've made it so that it now discharges on Fist of Fury, and there's no longer this stupid energy tracking like nonsense where you have to be really degen with your energy and you're cycling through your buffs, and it feels bad if you don't get a shadow buff, or your shadow buff drops off at a certain point, and you've got to go to your target dummy before you do your dungeon to get your 9 stacks, and then reduce it to 1 stack so that you actually do damage in the dungeon, or a bit more it's stupid gameplay. I don't like... Well, I'm skeptical, I should say, about this Shadowpan fighter that's going to assist you. What does bro do? Is he gonna like what's bro gonna do? Is he gonna hit stuff? Is he gonna be good? Um, maybe. The rest of the tree I like. It's pretty much the exact same thing. They've added our tier set or a weaker version of our current tier set to it, and they made shadow procs always happen with flurry strikes, which will be 100% watered down. Shadow pan, I'm happy with. I think it's fine. This guy is the only thing that worries me, but if it's good, it's good. All right, conduit. Oh boy. Oh Jesus Christ. All right, we'll start off easy. After invoking Zuin the White Targa, you may cast Conduit within 1 minute. Wait, what? Why? Why? So you have to take Zuin to play Conduit. Then why the fuck have you put it all the way down here? What? Oh my god, Blizzard. John Blizzard, why? That's crazy. What? Okay, sure, right. So you have to play Zuin to play Conduit. If you don't have Zuin, you can't play Conduit. Unlucky. And you may cast it. Oh, thank you, Blizzard. You may cast it within 1 minute. Oh, I appreciate that. Well, I guess you can never. Well, you can desync him, I guess. I think it will still play the exact same, where you'd pop Zuin. You're going to pop Weapons of Order, and then you do a couple of abilities, and then you press Conduit, something along those. It'll be very similar to what it is now. It's just the fact that you have to take Zuin. It's interesting. It just feels restrictive, where you have to take a talent to take your hero talent. Is that ever been a thing? Yeah, very, very strange there, I think. Let's keep reading. The Celestials empower you, causing you to radiate, you deal damage, you heal 5 targets, split evenly. We hate that term. Split evenly damage always sucks. It's why I'm very skeptical of the power of Rushing Wind Kick. I think it's going to be that bad if it is split damage. But I digress. It's the exact same thing. You can move while channeling, casting, damage spells during cancels it, but you'll probably still be able to defensive and CC and shit like that. That's fine. What's this then? All right, this is all the same, right? Temple training, Zuin's guidance. Where you take Temple's training, Zuin's guidance sucks. Oh my god, that's so bad. Trade deal. Would you rather have increased damage to your Fists of Fury and Spinning Crane Kick, or have Tiger Palm do 10% more damage and sometimes refunding a charge of chi? That's crazy, crazy. Courage of the White Tiger. Oh, why is the text for this so Blizzard? Please. Tiger Palm has a chance to cause Zuin to claw your target. That's been the same. And invoke Zuin guarantees your next cast activates this effect. This is technically weaker than it was before because you no longer take Fury of Zuin because Fury of Zuin was removed, which means you technically invoke Zuin less than you used to. Cool. Nerfed. This is probably still restore balance. Yeah, probably still restore balance. I mean, these are all the same, right? The main one, the moment we're waiting for, what does Heart of the Jade Serpent do, right? Strike of the Windlord and Whirling Dragon Punch, because if you're out of the loop or just started watching, Strike of the Windlord and Whirling Dragon Punch are a choice node now. You choose between them, so you can only have one or the other. At least you're not forced to go Strike of the Windlord with Conduit. At least you can now, you can essentially now Whirling Dragon Punch and get Heart of the Jade Serpent. That's cool. And it's probably likely the option people will take, because Strike of the Windlord baseline sucks. So let's say, so either of those calls upon Yulon, increasing the cooldown recovery rate of Fist, Strike, Rising Sun Kick, Flying Serpent Kick, and Whirling Dragon Punch. That's fine. It's all the same by 75%. And the channel time of Fist is reduced. So Heart of the Jade Serpent's the exact same, except it now operates with Whirling Dragon Punch if you take that. This is what's changed, right? Once again, they've seen our 4 set for Season 3, and they've said, oh, we like that. Stick that into a node, boys. Call it a day. Heart of the Jade Serpent additionally triggers for 4 seconds at 100% effectiveness after you cast Slicing Winds. So once again, tied to Slicing Winds. TLDR is you're probably going to have to take Slicing Winds again for Conduit, which is, I know not a lot of people are a fan of that, and it can have negative effects. Maybe you don't have to. You probably have to. You probably have to. And there's no way you wouldn't. 4 seconds of Heart of the Jade Serpent is just too much to pass up on. So it's going to be another Slicing Winds Conduit tier, which is okay for the most part, but I think there's some situations where it feels horrible to cast Slicing Winds. Like, I love Slicing Winds as an ability. I'm not a fan of actually forced timings of Slicing Winds, if that makes sense. I like to cast Slicing Winds when it's safe to do so. I don't like casting Slicing Winds when I'm forced to make sure I get a buff at a certain time. Great examples of these are Nexus King and Dimensius. Damage is so tight. The rooms are so tight. Mechanics flying out the wazoo. Being forced to press an ability at a certain time to get a buff at a certain time because you need it then feels awful, especially if it's a dangerous moment, but you just have to. Otherwise, you lose a lot of damage. Outside of that, I love Slicing Winds. I love the ability. I think it's a cool ability. It does a lot of damage. But the idea of being forced to press it at a certain time does feel bad just because of how it slightly moves you, and sometimes just that slight movement actually matters in certain situations. Not all of them. I'd say the majority of situations, the slight movement doesn't actually matter. But in very specific niche situations, it feels awful to get a slight, I suppose it's like you have to freeze in place for a second and then slightly dash. And it's that lack of control of your character that I don't like being forced to do. It's like literally 5% of the time I don't enjoy that. But yeah, basically 4 set is now becoming, or 2 set, I guess. Well, the 4 set, because Flowing Wisdom is also part of it. Heart of the Jade Serpent increases your haste by 10% whilst active. So it's essentially a watered down version, just like Shadowpan on this side here. It's a watered down version of our 4 set from Season 3, going into the new expansion. The haste bonus, the current haste bonus is what? Oh, I can't see my 4 set. I know it's not 10%, right? It's like 12 or something. Yeah, it's something. But basically, it's just a watered down version. But the TLDR is you're forced to play Slicing Wind if you want to play Conduit to get the full value out of Conduit. Just like this tier. Love it or hate it, Slicing Winds is here to stay with Conduit, and you're forced to take Zuin as well. So this is a very strange thing, actually. Conduit, like Shadowpan doesn't force you to take anything, right? Except for Weapons of Order, I suppose, but you're taking Weapons of Order because it's a major cooldown. Conduit forces you to take 2 abilities. It forces you, or 2 talents, should I say, from the Windwalker tree, and that's Zuin. You have to take Zuin or you can't play Conduit, and you have to take Slicing Winds to get actual effective value from Conduit as well. So that's strange, being kind of forced to take certain abilities in your Windwalker tree is it's an interesting choice. I don't know if I'm a fan of it, but it's an interesting choice. Flight of the Red Crane, I'm gonna check here real quick, because I think these are all just the exact same things. There's just so much text. Where's Conduit? Because I really just care about the new stuff coming to Conduit. What the fuck does that? What does that even? Celestial Conduit now overrides Zuin when Zuin is cast. What does that even mean? Overrides. The fuck does that even mean, Blizzard? Oh, get me off that page. That means nothing to me. Overrides. Okay. Essentially, Courageous White Tiger, Flight of the Red Crane, Strength of the Black Ox, and where's the other one? Heart of the Jade Serpent. Well, not Heart of the Jade Serpent, but these 3 over here. These are all the same effects, essentially. Chiji Swiftness. Movement speed is increased by 75% during Celestial Conduit. I'm pretty sure that's the same as it was here, right? But they've moved all the positionings of all these things. Yeah, it is the same. Then Inner Compass, but it's not a choice node. So that's interesting, because they've changed how Jade Fire Stomp works, and they've removed a version of it. It looks like they've removed a version, or the choice node here. Now it's just Inner Compass, which, being realistic, is what you took anyway. You never took the other. You never took the Jade Fire Stomp version of this, so that's fine. Stampede of the Ancients. What is this? Never heard of Stampede of the Ancients in my life. I'm making shit up. Strength of the Black Ox effect is more effective on your primary target. Okay. I guess you get a little bit more prior target damage. It's going to be barely any, but I guess it's something. Nijiao's Protection and Jade Sanctuary, these are the exact same. It's the Absorb Shield and Fort Brew, and then the healing you get after you activate Conduit. So that's cool. These are good. Usually, it depends. I think Nijiao's tends to be better for prog, and Jade Sanctuary's better for, like, just general play. And then finally, we have Unity Within, which is the exact same thing, you know? Celestial Conduit can be recast once during its duration, which you never do. You let it fully go through. So it automatically casts at the end and gives you 200% effectiveness. So overall, what they've done with the hero talents is they have kept them more or less the same, with a slight tweak here and there, and they've implemented the Season 3 4-sets into them, which kind of makes sense. It's kind of a typical Blizzard thing to have the 4-set of a last tier be integrated into the actual main build that you play during the next tier. It happened in Dragonflight as well, how you had the blackout kick, like reduce cooldown and stuff like that in the Fire Act raid, and then it got implemented into Windwalker and the War Within. The only thing I don't like with Conduit is the forcefulness. I said it quite a bit while talking about this hero tree, but being forced to take Zuin feels bad. Like, don't get me wrong, you probably want to take Zuin here anyway, but why am I forced to take a talent from my Windwalker tree to play Conduit? And why can it only be pressed after I press Zuin? My point is, why have they made this a condition? Like, even if it was, you have to have Zuin to press Conduit, it's the fact that you can't press Conduit without pressing Zuin. That's weird to me. It doesn't really, it changes nothing, but it's just a very weird thing. Like, I don't know, maybe it's more for Mistweavers? I don't really know how they play. Wait, Mistweavers don't have Zuin. The fuck is going on here? Oh, whatever. And it's the fact that you're forced to press Slicing Winds at certain intervals of time to get the most value out of it. So I imagine it's still going to be the same thing, right? Like, it would make no sense to me that you wouldn't cast Slicing... Like, you know how right now you cast Strike of the Windlord and then you instantly cast Slicing Winds to get the double stack up of the 2 buffs, right? Like, that's just how you play it in Season 3. I'd be surprised if that's not how it works. You'll press either Strike of the Windlord or Whirling Dragon Punch, and then you'll press Slicing Winds to get the double stackers. Because there's nothing here that suggests to me that it doesn't double stack. Potentially, they might change how it interacts. If they change how it interacts, that actually I'd actually prefer that in a weird way, in that doesn't force me to press Slicing Winds at a very particular time, and that actually forces me to press Slicing Winds kind of when I choose to, but still get a buff from it. Like, I want to press it pretty much off cooldown, but I'm not forced to press it at a very specific time, otherwise it's a big DPS loss. So if they actually changed how this worked, with how the haste, how everything overlaps with each other, I'd actually say that's a positive. It might do less damage overall, but it's a new expansion, so, you know, put the damage elsewhere. Interesting. And then the Shadowpan one, as I said, I think it's all cool. Except I'm very skeptical about how this little Shadowpan fighter actually works. Like, is it going to be a Stormwrath and Fire clone? Is he going to fuck with me? What does he actually do? What does assist me mean? Is he going to buff me? Is he going to start, you know, Black Lightning Ox Tiger punching stuff? Like, what does he do? It's very vague. But we'll see. Overall, I like it. I think overall it's cool. It's fresh enough to still be fresh. It's fresh enough to still be fresh. Jesus Christ. I think they've removed some talents that was just kind of like cringe, but they've removed also some things that were quite important. I think Invoker's Delight is probably the biggest one. It's going to make Zuin feel really weak now. Which is why I have such grievances with having to take it with Conduit, because in my mind, I think to an extent, Zuin without Invoker's Delight is kind of bad. So why am I forced to take this talent that I don't really agree with as much as I used to, with a hero talent that might be strong, you know? The There's a lot of like still question marks here. Why is Flurry of Zune at the bottom of this talent tree? This ability looks awful. Um, Rushing Wind Kick is bad in its current state. Please change it from split evenly, otherwise this kind of fucks up all the synergies that you're trying to put into it. Hurricane's Volt sounds awesome. Harmonic combos really cool. Strike and Whirling Dragon Punch sharing a choice node is actually not as bad as it sounds. You know, Crashing Fit. Like, there's a lot of cool new things here. Tiger's Eye Brew, obviously. But there's still, like, a lot of question marks. As you can... there's still a lot of question marks. See what I did there? Because if you zoom in, there's about 1 million question marks on my screen. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think Storm Earth and Fire getting removed is probably what people will be unhappy with the most, class fantasy wise. But you've got to understand it's the healthy, like, it had to happen because it's really unhealthy for our damage. And there's just so many bugs with it that it actually causes us so many problems that you won't even notice. But like, I'm not saying not having Storm Earth and Fire will make us competitive and things like M+, but it will help, right? Like, it will genuinely help. Like, it's actually a damage buff to lose Storm, Earth, and Fire. Because it's just such a buggy mess. It's got so many underlying issues. It fucks with talents in ways that you don't even, like, realize. Sometimes it doesn't replicate damage. Sometimes it just hits the wrong target. Sometimes it looks the wrong way. There's so many inherently bad things with it. And, you know, we might still potentially have, like, you know, clones that still help us, like Storm Spirit's going to be here. This little dude from Shadowpan's going to be here. We still have pets, I guess. They're just not the boys. So, you know, enjoy the boys for as long as you still have them, I guess. Because they're going to be gone soon. It'll be interesting to see how Weapons of Order plays out. I think it's going to be fine. But it's going to be interesting. I think it's really going to depend on how influential Blackout Kick reducing cooldowns actually is. Because right now, I think Ordered Elements... Don't get me wrong, Ordered Elements is useful, right? Let's say you're playing Shadowpan. Ordered Elements is okay. But how often are you actually using the Blackout Kick right now? Like, if you think about it, how much more often do you care more about the chi reduction during a burst than you do about reducing cooldowns with Blackout Kick? I care more about the chi reduction than I do the Blackout Kick actually recessing. I guess that's predominantly because you're Tiger Palming a lot more. But then with Conduit as well, right? You'd still, like, Ordered Elements is awkward because you don't Blackout Kick, because right now Conduit doesn't synergize well with Blackout Kicks, so you don't even take it. So I think they'll have to fix Conduit in the way that, like, because if you don't take Blackout Kick with Conduit, suddenly Ordered Elements, all you're benefiting from it is the reduced chi cost, I suppose. And is that good enough? Probably. Probably. The big downside that you will notice is that where Storm, Earth, and Fire gave you 20% extra damage, in quotation marks, Ordered Elements doesn't give you any damage buff. There's no buff with pressing this button. It's just, it allows you to manipulate resources. So there's no, like, which is strange when you think about it, right? A lot of specs have a button, including Windwalkers, we have these buttons, where you press the button and it increases your damage. Technically, this does increase your damage because you get more casts out with reduced cooldowns and stuff like that. But technically, you press this and you don't deal more damage. So I think that's going to be the biggest difference Weapons of Order. Because none of these modifiers to it actually increase its damage. So that's strange in that regard, right? Like, because when you press Storm and Fire, you're thinking, right, I'm going to do 20% more damage now. On top of everything else it gives you, right? Weapons of Order, it doesn't do that. There's no inherent, this is my big button to press. However, this is still, like, I think that fundamentally will play around. I suppose the Apex talent is where that comes in and actually makes it stronger with crit strike and stuff like that. But inherently on its own, the actual ability itself doesn't do anything like that. It all stems from the Apex talents. And that's probably why you're not, or that's probably why you're always going to take these Apex talents. Like, there's discussion where you can have situations where you don't take Apex talents, right? You don't have to take them. They're an option if you want them. But if you don't take these, your actual burst window of Weapons of Order actually is kind of, it doesn't exist, right? Like, if we think about Storm, Earth, and Fire split into two parts, this is the ordered elements part of Storm, Earth, and Fire, and this is the damage part of Storm, Earth, and Fire, and they split them into two now. It's no longer one ability, but all the damage comes from you at least. So this is the damage portion, this is the ordered elements portion, and they combine to create um, faux Storm, Earth, and Fire. How long does it last? We don't have definitive time at the moment, but seeing some alpha footage from some of the content Blizzard already posted, it looks like it works the exact same as Storm, Earth, and Fire, and that it is 2 charges, 90-second cooldown. And it seems likely because Drinking Horn Cover and Spiritual Focus have been changed, where they extend the duration and reduce the duration by roughly the amount of time you would have had for Storm, Earth, and Fire. So likely 90 seconds, 2 charges. It costs us 4 talent points. It does. There's a small caveat that you technically do get critical strike damage outside of Weapons of Order. To be fair, from these two here, but I'd be very surprised if you ended up just taking the top one, because the bottom one is what makes Fist of Fury like. I mean, the bottom one is just. I mean, actually, to be fair, this is the only one that actually affects Weapons of Order, is the top one. These two down here are actually passive to just standard Windwalker gameplay, and this increases Fist of Fury damage, and this increases crit strike damage, and that's outside of cooldowns. So maybe there's a world where you take this one to improve your actual Weapons of Order burst window, and then these two are strong, but it's actually stronger to, let's say, take something like, I don't know, let's say it's stronger to take Rushing Wind Kick and Flurry of Zuin and Skyfire Heal than it is to put it into these. It's unlikely, but that is always the option. This is the only one that actually manipulates Weapons of Order. No, you are right. It is 4 talent points. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. This looks like it's the extra one. I got confused when I started. I thought this was like the extra one at the end. It is 4. It's 1 at the top, 2 in the middle, 1 at the bottom. You're correct with 4. Apex talents are 4. Also, about how long I meant the actual. How long is the buff in Shadowlands? It was 30 seconds. Storm, Earth, and Fire is only 15. It's hard to tell because they don't have the numbers here. And I don't think anyone's actually played Windwalker on the alpha. And there's no footage, so it's unknown at the moment. But like the best guess is that it's going to be 15 seconds, like Storm, Earth, and Fire, because the likelihood is because it has 2 charges, it's going to basically just be Storm, Earth, and Fire, right, without the clones, if that kind of makes sense. Where each one's 15 seconds, but then you can buff it up to 20 seconds, or have the cooldown reduced to 70 seconds from 90. But potentially I'm wrong. Potentially it's 2 charges, 30 seconds. But I doubt it. I think they've literally just taken away the clones from Storm, Earth, and Fire and slapped them here as another ability. Yeah. Man yaps for 3 hours and 45 minutes about a talent page full of question marks. Fucking crazy stuff. I think that covers about everything I wanted to talk about in terms of the class and everything like that. I'll be honest. I think we covered the hero talents, we covered the changes, the class talents. We looked at what's being removed, all that jazz. I'm excited for it. I think it's fine. As I said, there's a few things I'm very skeptical about. There's some things that are like exciting, and they've done a lot of these things where there's a lot of like not secret, but there's a lot of like hidden synergies here spread out throughout, like that work with each other. And it'd be really cool to see how those implement together. It'd be really cool to see how increasing the duration of Fist of Fury by 1 second actually plays out. Because on paper, that sounds weird, right? Or making Slicing Winds now cost 2 chi. There's a lot of like interesting ways of playing around these talents, or like they do interesting things. It's not just a simple Fist of Fury now does 10% more damage. Slicing Winds now does 100% more damage. Like, there's some interesting gameplay things with this. So it'll be cool to see how this plays out. So hopefully some Windwalker gets the alpha at some point, because I'd like to either play it myself or watch them play it, to be honest. So hopefully someone gets the alpha. So I'd like to see how some of these talents actually work in practice. That'd be fun. Yeah, we covered everything. Windwalker, good. Question mark. Obviously, all of this can change tomorrow, and all this chat would have been for nothing. But it's cool to get a first look at everything going into the next expansion, because it's not that long away. I mean, the expected date is February something ish, which is actually not that long. That's like 4 months, which is it's only a 6 month tier, right? No fated, nothing like that. So, I think I'm excited the most for the beta. I think the beta will be really fun when they've actually because I think the alphas will be good to get a first look. But the beta is where they'll have actually started tuning stuff, realizing that doesn't work, this doesn't work, and when they actually start fleshing out some of this a bit more. So that's gonna be fun. And don't worry, I'm smart enough that I signed up to the beta. I'm sure they give me that. That'd be nice. Maybe J-Funk will guess it. I think J-Funk's the most likely person to guess it. I think that's what Sia said, and it's probably the most likely. I think he's like the most known Windwalker. So I think he's most likely to get it. But as long as some Windwalker gets it, we can actually see what's going on and how some of these talents play. That's cool. Yeah, I think that'll be it for me today. No actual gameplay or anything. I just wanted to yap about the talents and stuff because I've got some stuff to do this afternoon. I might stream tomorrow because I'm back trying to do some streams again and stuff now that I feel better. It is my birthday though, so I might not. I might just do a little one in the. I usually like to start at 12, but I'm busy in the afternoon. I might stream, I might not. But if I do, it'll be M plus stuff. And it might only be for a few hours or so. Probably not as long as this one is. So I gotta go do fucking birthday things or whatever you do when you have a birthday. Celebrate, I guess. Cool. Probably not just play WoW all day. I mean, to be honest, that's probably what I want to do, but happy. Yeah. Yeah. All the VODs and stuff, all the VODs, whatever I've yapped about, will be on YouTube and on Twitch if you missed anything. Unfortunately, I can't really chapter it. Maybe I can try chapter it into. I'll try chapter it into class talents, Windwalker talents, Shadowpan, and Conduit, but I'm not chaptering it into fucking. At this point, I talk about Ascension. Here, I talk about hit like that is just not happening. Yeah, I'll try to chapter it like that. So if you want to jump to anything, but it won't be like now I'm talking about row 7. In this point I'm talking about Skyfire. No, you're not having that. That's just too much. That's crazy. Yeah, thanks for watching. Maybe catch you tomorrow. Have an awesome evening, and yeah, get hyped. It's almost midnight. Bye bye. Pain and suffering. Thanks for tuning in. Nah, we killed Demencius. That shit's over. Goodbye.